2 years, 50 episodes. Thank you so much for being one of our longtime listeners. If you want to take a more active role in supporting the show, you can always, of course, write in. We love to get fan mail from you. We love to answer your questions. Or you can head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/shadesansketch. You can support the show for as little as $1, and we're giving you all kinds of goodies, exclusive content, exclusive episodes, episode art. It's all there for you. On to this week's episode.
Cowabunga Dudes, I'm Sketch.
And I'm Shades.
And this is Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch. Welcome back, longtime listeners. Every time you join us in a different corner of the Geeking Out multiverse. Shades, this is not the Ritz.
This is not.
Where are we?
We are in a New York sewer.
Just lay it right out there.
Yeah, it is not pleasant.
It is dark.
It is wet.
Stanky.
Yes.
It is gross.
I am standing in shit.
I am going to try to open one of these vents.
Oh, please don't.
Yeah, no, I just can't deal with the stench.
I don't think it's going to make it better.
I'm just going to turn this.
Whoa! Oh,
we have guests.
Welcome. It's Chuck and Brad.
Whoa, we're here.
How was your trip?
It was great.
It was, you know what? It was stinkier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I'd offer you a towel, but alas.
What were you doing standing in the toilet up above? And...
we were the flux capacitor. We were like, all right, if we're going to take turns hitting our head on the toilet in order to invent time travel, different episode.
That's a good joke. That's a good joke.
It's a different episod of Geeking Out.
So quick.
I know,
Wow.
He's on it.
I was going to say that we were flushed down the toilet by like a mom who's, getting ready to move, doesn't want to bring the pets to the new house.
Sad.
Little Chuck and Brad ran away. That's what she's going to say. We sent him to the farm.
Well, spoiler alert for childhood trauma this episode.
We did not give that spoiler alert at the top of the episode. I like Brad's much better.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's much more family friendly.
I'm sorry about that.
So, guys, before we get into this, I guess if we're sitting in the sewer, just four gnarly dudes,
we must be talking about
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a theme song this week?
I believe we do.
I think so.
Get us there, Chuck.
Me? I'm going to start it?
Yeah.
No, I can't start it.
Let me blow my pitch pipe.
I can't start it. I mean, I'd have to start low because it's kind of like specific.
Go low.
I mean, we haven't practiced this.
We haven't.
So it'd be like...
The acoustics in the sewer are pretty interesting.
Yes,
so
yeah.
Any
I'm going to start it low.
Right, do it.
Okay.
It's like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, heroes in a half shell,
turtle power!
Yeah.
That was
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah,
that
was good.
Let's take that on the road.
That was
that
the
was
best.
good. Yeah.
So, guys, welcome to our big 50th episode special. This is huge.
Guys, thank you for making this
big.
happen.
Hey, thank you for inviting us on. Yeah, you said who are the turtle experts in the area?
Yes.
That's
You
what we
contacted Chuck and Brad.
Chuck and Brad, of course.
And we're here.
We
We're
said,
here.
who will
Fantastic.
join us down here,
In this
wallowing in the filth?
stanky,
And Shade said,
sewer.
I only know two people.
Yep. That's us.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's weird because most of the time, one of us is in like a moral sewer, but now we are in an actual sewer.
Yeah.
That's true. It's absolutely true. Now, just to kind of bring this up early on, the origins of the Ninja Turtles. Because originally I was gonna make a joke about this, but I realized that we're gonna talk about the Ninja Turtle live action movie.
Yes.
I was gonna make a joke about the origin of like myself with the mutagen and all that stuff, but it's actually a different origin than the movie
It is,
origin.
yeah.
Because the origin that I'm used to was basically if you touch the mutagen, then you kind of become a hybrid with the last animal you came in contact with, right? And I was going to make a joke about me and Brad
that's
and
the
why
2D
we
Turtles,
became
right?
stuff. Yeah, then that's the 2D Turtles, the cartoon.
Yeah.
But the movie one, I guess just the mutagen touches you and you grow.
That
It seemed
to be it.
and it seemed to also carry over into the Bay universe as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, of course.
The
Yes,
mutagen
yes.
touches you and you just grow.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
devolve.
Oh yeah. I guess evolve.
Yeah, or yes, evolve.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I was gonna make a joke about that, but then I'm like, it's not appropriate for this episode.
I don't know.
I was gonna say that the last animal that Brad came in contact with was like a a cockroach or maybe a silkworm,
I don't think
silverfish.
that's fair.
Yeah. That's
Silkworm.
silverfish is the second best fish.
That's a good one too. I don't think a goldfish is the best fish though. I'm gonna say.
The Olympic Committee would beg to differ.
I appreciated koi pond. I don't know. I guess I could say
Longtime
that.
listeners, if you are not familiar with Chuck and Brad, they are longtime hosts of the Chuck and Brad podcast.
That's right.
Episode 430.
What a coincidence.
Yeah,
we're up there.
427.
427
this week.
Wow.
I have listened to probably close to half of your catalog.
Wow,
if not
I appreciate
more.
that.
I'm a regular listener.
You know what's funny? We actually referenced you in a recent episode, and we were waiting to see if you heard it. And on the episode, we talked about good people that we knew. This is true. This is
Yes.
100% true.
Yeah.
And we said, you know what? We should just reach out to good people you know and let them know that they're good. And one day, and Brad texted you in the episode, and he was like, "Hey, buddy, just wanted to make sure you're doing well." And you're like, "Thanks
Yeah.
a lot. What a good guy." Did you hear that episode?
Not yet.
Yeah. So that's why he texted you.
That
on Blue
warms
day.
my heart.
Yeah,
I think I'm on like 405 right now.
Yeah. You don't have to catch up.
I've been busy.
Whatever tickles
but
your
I
fancy.
enjoy
Pick and choose,
catching
yeah.
up.
I'm glad you did.
I enjoy
appreciate
just
that.
like turning it on and binging when I have the
I
opportunity.
understand.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So we usually start with our history of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Mhm.
and I think that's a great place to start because I'll just throw to you, Chuck. The very first time I graced your home, I was just taken by the shrine
Yeah.
that was your living room to the Ninja Turtles.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it seems like it features pretty heavily in your life and development.
It's really interesting to me because I think that when an artist or a group of artists comes up with some kind of project, sometimes that project kind of takes on a life of its own.
Yeah.
And so Eastman and Laird are the creators of the Ninja Turtles, and they created this. I think it was black and white at first comic book.
Yeah.
Of these kind of gritty. It's almost like a satirical comic book of comic books.
It is a spoof of the four biggest comics of the time: Marvel's Daredevil and New Mutants, Ronin, and Dave Sims' Cerberus.
Yeah. And
Math checks out.
but
yeah.
it quickly morphed when it was just like bought as a concept
Yes,
by
Playmates.
Yeah. And so the TV show, I believe, was kind of created in conjunction with let's make these action figures and like make this revolving cast of other mutants. And so the marketing kind of dictated what the story became.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's when I got into it because the Turtles came out. The first comic was probably published in 1984,
Exactly.
which is the year I was born. And then the TV show probably came out in like 1989 or 1990.
87.
87. Wow, really early.
Yeah.
So I was only 3. Obviously, my first exposure was the cartoon, and I think that the marketing machine really, like I said, dictated what the story was going to be, and then it kind of changed into the live action movie.
Yeah.
Cartoon continued, and also while the comics continued, video games
Yeah, the
came.
video games start pumping out.
And so it became this thing where it's like, well, these characters are attractive
Yeah.
in terms of like people will buy things with them, people will play games with them, they'll watch things with them featured. So I think I really appreciated the idea of creating something that becomes marketable and malleable
Yeah.
because that's what they are. They really have been created for a lot of different audiences by this point in
Oh,
time
yeah.
and recreated.
I think every generation has their, or even generation, but every sub-generation, like every 10 years, there's a new Turtles that is your turtle.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even me, I even have different versions of like what I like about it. Like I do like the original cartoon a lot, but for me, like Turtles in Time, the video game, huge,
It's a great game.
right?
Yeah.
It's one of the best arcade games of
Yeah.
all time, I think. The 4-player Turtles in Time, and then also the action figures were probably one of the biggest things to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I had hundreds of those, and I realized growing up one time, I was like, I have these X-Men posters and all these figures. I didn't read comic books. I love the
Interesting.
characters. I read their stats. I had the trading
Yeah,
cards.
yeah.
I liked the art of it.
All the boxes had the stats, the history
Right.
of the
Right.
character on the back.
Right.
Yeah. very
And so
cool.
I liked the idea of the characters. I liked the idea
Interesting.
of the design.
Did you create your own adventures for your Turtles figures to go on?
I created my own adventures and I conceptualized my own turtles and sent them into Playmates.
Really?
Ooh.
A Christmas line of turtles where Michelangelo had
Did
Christmas
they ever make
light
them?
nunchucks. No, but interesting fact.
Not yet.
Not
Is
yet.
what you mean to say.
Playmates invited people to do this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
and a
yeah,
bunch
yeah.
of the figures actually came from fan submissions.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so I
That's
wanted to
cool.
create my own turtles. I feel like there was one that was very similar to one that came out, but I'm sure it wasn't because of me. But I did, yeah, of course. I mean, I had my characters like kind of, mashed up with all my other figures together, and they
As
were
children
these things. Yeah, the Darkwing Duck.
Children, 19-year-old Chuck sitting in his basement.
That's my favorite toy thing that I still have is the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives from 2016 were all the Turtles in Time. It's not, actually not Turtles in Time. It's the original Turtles arcade game.
Yeah.
They're made with like pixelated art.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's all, it's the Turtles, Shredder, and 3 Foot Soldiers. And they have the actual background scene of like the city streets.
Oh, that's cool.
And they're all fighting on it.
Cool.
I have it on one of my shelves in my house.
Cool.
I love it. Yeah, I love the artwork of that. I love the artwork of the Turtles. And also it was a property that I feel like instead of saying like, oh, like I'm this guy, I'm Wolverine. I'm Brad. Brad's obviously Cyclops. I'm obviously Wolverine.
Thank you.
I'm Iron Man. Brad's Pepper Potts.
It works on multiple levels. I wish it didn't, but
It's wow.
But I kind of feel like with Turtles, like you'd relate to one or whatever, but it almost felt like they were. Each one of them was an aspect of a collective.
Absolutely.
Particularly
like,
with the
right?
particularly with the 2D turtles.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah. There's a little bit of each of them in you.
In each of you.
And each kid watching it maybe gravitated towards one because they themselves identified with that aspect of themselves more.
Maybe some
but
of us
everyone
are
had a
party
little
dudes.
bit of party dude in them. Everyone had a little bit of, guy who likes to tinker around. And
Sure.
Absolutely.
it's like Myers-Briggs for elementary school.
Oh, trademark copyright geeking out.
Yeah.
Shades and Sketch.
Take it.
Please.
We'll send you your royalty spread.
But
Sorry, I was just trying to figure out how it would phrase, and I'm like, no, that doesn't work.
but yeah, I think the combination of, and it's weird, it's like the positive side of marketing when I was a kid.
Yeah, definitely.
It kind of resonated with me where I'm like, oh, it's cool. Like, even with Senior Discount, my band that I've been in for years, I've always loved the idea of like, oh man, what if we had Senior Discount action figures? And it was like the Christmas Senior Discount action figures and the different versions. I like that idea of marketing and kind of creating characters that can apply to every situation or maybe can continue to grow or change and stuff like that. Like,
Definitely.
there's the Raphael, the children's magician Raphael, where Rabbit comes out of the top of his hat.
Yeah.
Like,
Donatello with the Groucho face and the trench coat.
Yeah, like
Or maybe
I
it was
love
Michelangelo. I'm not sure.
It was Donatello.
It was Donatello.
Or I think it was Donatello. But yeah,
Raphael, the pizza, the wheel, could break dance and spin around on his back. The pizza wheel.
I loved that. I love that you had all these different.
I think they actually made like a Leonardo as a painter. Leonardo at one point,
Yeah,
like
there's
Leonardo da Vinci crossover.
I got it.
Tons of
Got
them.
it.
I'm sure you did. Yeah.
They have like Bandito Raph, and he has the Mexican hat and a little mustache.
Yep.
Oh my god, it's crazy.
Mildly offensive, but great.
Right.
I still have the hockey Leonardo. He has a hockey thing, and you pull him back, and he swings a stick. I loved the idea of that, and it felt like I said, it felt like the positive side of marketing.
Cool.
When I was a kid, and of course I know that in real life, I'm sure there were like scumbag, sleazy guys behind it, making wanting to make money. But the truth is, when we were kids, when we were between the ages of 5 and 10, those turtles were $5 each.
Yep.
At KB Toys, and I think that that's like an affordable, fun thing to take part in.
Yep.
So it's interesting. But yeah, so I've always loved the Turtles. The artwork has always resonated with me, and I've always gravitated towards the satirical, self-referential, fourth wall breaking version of whatever the thing is.
Interesting.
Deadpool,
Yeah.
Turtles, Family Guy, Saints Row. You know what I mean? Like all these different things that kind of became the commentary on what they're part of. Turtles for comic books, obviously, always is what I've really appreciated.
Cool.
Weird, right? Weirdly thoughtful. Weird way to
It's
look
fantastic.
No, yeah, very cool.
Yeah. Brad, what's your history with the Ninja Turtles?
Top that.
I I'm not going to top it. My story is different.
I'm the silverfish here.
Yes. I didn't know a lot about them. I think I saw commercials before anything else. And I'm trying to figure out, one year for Christmas, my brother, 2 years older than me and myself, got the 4 Ninja Turtle action figures between the two of us. And so we each had 2. But like at that point, we were too old to be like, now my guy is fighting your guy. Like we kind of moved past that, which, for us, it was about G.I. Joe battles and Star Wars battles. And so I kind of was, I would have been 9 in 1987, kind of when it came out. But I definitely remember the cartoon more so than the figures. I remember one fact from the back of the Michelangelo card, and it was like, it takes 13 pounds of pressure to break a bone, and nunchucks can generate 90. And I'm like, so it's like, I need to stay away from nunchucks. And again,
Have you successfully?
yeah.
Okay.
So far I've managed
tough
to
out
avoid
there.
them. Yeah.
7 of my bones.
Like, the math checks out.
Yeah, they break after 90.
Yes. It's they hit you, and again, those numbers might be off a little bit, but I remember like it was something
Yes,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
on the back of it, and I was like, what an interesting thing,
To put on the back of an action figure.
right,
Yeah.
for me to learn as a youth. I loved the 2D cartoon.
Yeah.
And like didn't know about the black and white or the grittiness or anything else. To me, it was just like a fun cartoon to watch. And I remember, the episode where they introduced Baxter Stockman, and I remember an episode where like aliens were disguised as sausage on a pizza.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Oh, the meatballs.
Yeah, and so these weird little things. I remember when Krang was introduced.
Yes.
But then I saw the first live action movie in theaters with Lars Bergstrom and Nicholas Pressner and Lars's dad, and
Wow.
I went to like the River Oaks Theater to see it, and I remember I was like, well, Shredder's dead, so they're not going to make another one, and they're like, well, they just crushed his helmet, and I'm like, what? Like,
Right.
I didn't get it because I was 11 or 12 years old.
Ninja.
Yeah.
Samurai.
Yeah. And but by the time the second live action movie came out, the one famously with Vanilla Ice,
Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go.
right? I was like,
That should have been theme song.
No.
That's-
no. Pass. Hard pass.
that's kid stuff, and I'm going to put it away. And that was I was putting away Disney movies and like really trying to show what a cool grown up I was at the age of 14.
Wow.
And so I drifted away from Ninja Turtles. I still knew them. I knew there was a reboot. And then I think there was an animated TMNT in like 2007.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
a sequel. It's technically the fourth movie. It's
Yeah.
a sequel to the live actions.
I saw it in
Which is good. It's a good movie.
It's fantastic.
really
Yeah.
good.
I,
yeah.
I think it's my favorite out of those.
Yeah, it's good.
I saw it in Dartmouth because I was working at
Yeah.
UMass Dartmouth at the time, and I remember there's a scene where Raph leaves, and I remember there was a kid in the theater was like, "No!" Everyone kind of laughed, so it was good stuff. And then the Michael Bay when they introduced that, I'm like, I'm sure it's going to be fine. And I know a lot of people were violently opposed to the idea of it.
We'll get there.
Right, and I have a lot of thoughts on that as well. But
Did it change when you met me? When we started talking about them?
I think I appreciated the figures, and I was amazed at how many there were.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't know about. I guess I had a very limited awareness of like there's a hockey player Leonardo, or there's a painter Leonardo, or whatever. I would see them, but it was never something I wanted to spend my money on. I think we just had our 4 total Ninja Turtles, and I'm trying to remember who had
Wow,
which
we're gonna
ones.
have to talk about the turtle hunt on this. I never thought about
Yeah,
that.
we will.
You know that we do this every year, right? The turtle hunt.
No.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think both my brother and I had like one plush Ninja Turtle each. Like for some reason his was Donatello and mine was Raphael. And it like based on our personalities, really our parents got those backwards. My brother is cool but crude. I do machines.
Yeah, you do machines.
So I appreciate the property and enjoy it a lot. I know that whenever there's a holiday coming up and I'm looking for gifts for Chuck, I can just go on eBay and search TMNT rare and just look and see if I can find something that I can afford to get for him. So it's nice. So yeah.
Want to talk turtle hunt? I think we should bring it up now.
All right, let's bring
It's
up
the
the turtle
perfect
hunt.
All right, so and I'm sure you guys probably will struggle with this just like I do. As you grow up and you like collectibles and comic book artwork and video games. and all
Oh, okay.
that
I know
stuff,
what you're talking about now.
Yes.
Yeah. But yes, please talk about this.
you have your home and you have this struggle between like, am I a man or am I a child?
Mhm.
You know,
Clearly, we're all Muppets.
and you try to figure out in your house like kind of what you should have for that kind of stuff. What seems childish, 40-year-old virgin level stuff,
Right.
is not what you want. But you don't want to throw away all the stuff that you love. You
Yeah.
want to keep some of the stuff. So you have this balance. And I used to have this house that was filled with crazy shit. I had this monstrous Blu-ray collection, 2,200 discs, with like the entire set of Gremlins trading cards and this stuffed animal. It was a 14-foot wall with 6 shelves and it was crazy. Then I had my house fire. lost all the stuff.
Jeez.
Changed my view on collecting. It changed my view on a lot of the stuff, but I still love it. I love it. So I was like, well, this is a real, when the house fire happened 4 years ago.
Yeah, late 2015. So yeah.
So I was 31 and I was like, man, am I going to make this change and kind of have like a grown up house? I was kind of struggling with this.
And we're like, fuck no.
Well, I was like, I'm gonna dial it back by a lot. It was at 11 and now it's at a 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's about right.
And I have more. It's more like elegantly laid out. Let's just say.
It's
And,
hard. It's hard to strike that balance.
Exactly.
I
Without
mean,
you don't want to seem
if you
too
just
much
like
of a
look
kid.
around the studio, I have it like a little decked out today with what we're doing. But
Well, I think
we've got Snuffy in the corner.
You know what
there
though?
and-
Studio is different. Rules are different.
It
home
is,
home
but it
is like
isn't.
it should be. It's you and your wife pictures, right?
Sure.
Studio can be like this is a representation of art that I like because that's what you're doing. Don't you think that's more acceptable in the studio?
Yeah.
I think it. Yeah. I mean, that's true. That's true.
If
And
you're
certainly-
if you were working somewhere and you were doing like Excel spreadsheets in there,
yeah.
that's different. But if you're working on things that you love that are creative to you, I think your creativity level can go up.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I was in a studio recently that was just to the nines with every
Collectibles?
pop culture collectible, and they were all things that had been given to him. But at some point, you have to say it's like this is a workspace.
Right.
Yeah,
You need
have
you need
to
to be able to access like your work, and
Yeah.
it needs to. It's a workspace.
I
At the
think
end of the day,
I think it
There's-
depends. I mean,
so there is like a balance.
you're running a professional recording studio.
Yeah.
But like I go to like a shared universe, like
Oh,
Ming
sure,
and Mike's
sure,
studio in
yeah.
Jersey.
Yeah.
And it's just podcasting.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more
Sure.
simple in terms of what they have to produce there.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I agree. But so I was trying to strike this balance. And one of the things I realized was like, I'm going to really cut down on the amount of collectibles I have and artwork. But the big bugaboos are Halloween and Christmas, where everyone gets to put out their childish shit and it's normalized.
Yeah.
Right?
True. Yeah.
So I was like, what if I got Halloween and Christmas related collectibles? Then like
There's no
3 months a
excuse.
year,
Yeah.
I can put up all my shit. And I was doing research on different things and I had a bunch of Halloween stuff. And one of the things I found is that in the 90s, they made these Ninja Turtle action figures that were a crossover with the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
So it's like Mummy Leo and like Wolfman, this guy, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get all 8 of them. There's 8. Bride of Frankenstein, April, blah, blah, blah. And over the past, is this the 8th year or 7th?
I think it's 7th.
This will be the 7th year that at the end of September, Brad and I basically take an entire day and go to like, 12 collectible stores and search for the turtles. And so far, we've gotten 6 of the 8,
Wow, that's
Wow.
good.
but we haven't got any in the past like 3 years.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And,
It's
and
been-
the other ones, the last 2,
They're crazy rare.
climbing in price.
Yeah.
Like $150 at the cheapest now if you look for them on
I have to
eBay.
pull one of your eBay schemes to get those.
I know.
You're running out of eBay schemes.
I know. Well, I'm running out of. I'm honestly running out
I
of.
will
probably-
never get taken again, Chuck.
I'm probably running out of like those physical
Right,
figures in
yeah,
the
yeah,
world.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably what's happening.
Yep.
Is they're getting lost, or people are buying them that are collectors and want them, and so. But every year, like we take one day and do it, and this is be like the 7th year, I guess.
It's, we go into like these dingy, dirty collectible stores, possibly also a flea market.
And let's also say, along with really nice ones like the Toy
Yeah,
Vault and
yeah,
Time
yeah,
Capsule.
And it's fun. It's a day about togetherness. And if we find one of these figures, great. And then, Chuck's like, well, in addition to these, let's look for all these Simpsons figures and let's look for all these
Oh, yeah.
comic books.
Okay.
And
So
so,
we do go to the big flea market under
Yeah.
Apex in where's it called? Where is it? Attleboro. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Brad hates it the most. It's my favorite stop of the day.
I'd say it's more crazy than amazing.
It's crazy. But yeah, so on top of the Turtles, Halloween figures to spice things up, I also would love to find all the Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror, Burger King figures that were put out, which are amazing. They're hard to get. Well, you know what? It's hard to get all of them, I should say. But I have most of the ones that I want, almost all of them. And then there's also like the actual Playmates Simpsons figures. They put out some Treehouse of Horror sets. There's 2 big main ones that are like, Groundskeeper Willie with the rake.
Yeah.
And I have the 2 main ones, but I'm trying to get all the Simpsons Burger King
I don't
ones.
even know if I should tell you this. We just sold my parents' house, and I did my McDonald's Burger King toys as a giant lot.
Oh,
And in there was one of the Simpsons figures, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
Treehouse Horror
which
figures.
one? You don't have no idea?
I have no idea, but
I do have the vast majority. There's 3 Playmates ones. One of them is like Bart as a fly, Groundskeeper Willie as like Freddy Krueger. One of them is Homer as like an ape, you know,
Oh.
from the King Kong one.
Mhm.
And then one of them is Homer and King and Kodos, and they're really, really big. They're huge. And that's the one that's the rarest of those.
Yeah.
And then the Burger King ones are kind of random because they did it for like 4 or 5 years, and there's
Yeah.
probably like between 8 and 12 every year.
So I'm sure there were just like a bunch of them mixed in there.
There's
and
tons of them.
So he knew what he was getting.
Yeah, so I mean, and those are easy to get one by one, but the problem is like when you're looking for one, it might be $8 online, and so you're
Right.
like $8 for this little 2-inch figure is a lot, but then they'll have like a lot of like 15 for like $16,
Or they're mixed in with like 1,000 other
that's the
McDonald's
thing.
toys.
That's the other thing is you have to pay more, but then you have all these duplicates. So anyway,
Yeah.
but I will say, you know what I just got? Production script of Treehouse of Horror. The Treehouse of Horror, like 6, which is the one with
Yeah.
Groundskeeper Willie
Wow.
as
Krueger,
Freddy
yeah.
Krueger.
Lousy smarch weather.
Yeah, I got a production script from the production of the Simpsons episode,
Wow.
and I'm gonna put it in a shadow box with that Groundskeeper Willie
That's
figure.
That's
awesome.
cool.
Pretty cool, right? Anyway, so I love Halloween stuff. Love the turtles.
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't have put your address at the top of the episode. That was a mistake.
But yeah, so the turtle hunt is a fun thing we do every year.
That's cool.
And I take all the turtle movie soundtracks and I make a playlist of them. And I just have it on repeat all day long.
Oh,
Not a joke.
Also, speaking of turtle
so
soundtracks,
sorry.
part of my experience with the Ninja Turtles is when they were running a promotion with
they went
Pizza
on
Hut.
tour?
They went on tour, coming out of the shells. Did not go to the tour, but I may still have the cassette tape, the coming out of their shells
Whoa.
I
cassette,
do. I still have it.
or I gave it to Chuck.
oh, okay.
Also possible.
I have one. Maybe you gave it to me.
Okay.
Because Brad, for my birthday, like 2 weeks ago, Brad gave me the Ninja Turtles live action Christmas special on
Oh, my
VHS,
goodness.
which is
Wow.
the craziest
Yeah.
thing in the history of the world. It's a Christmas special. It's like 25 minutes long. It's like live action costumes
Yeah.
that are shit. They're fucking terrible.
It's from the 97 Saban era, right?
Possibly.
It's
Yeah,
from-
it's-
it was produced for like Burger King.
Is Venus de Milo in it?
No,
The female turtle?
No,
All right, so
no,
it
no, this-
predates that then.
this was produced. I think
I
independently.
want to say it was like
for-
94.
Okay.
I think it was produced
Cool.
just for like a giveaway at Burger King or whatever it
Wow.
was. It was right after the Coming Out of Their Shells tour where they had the terrible masks
yeah,
where the
yeah.
mouse didn't
Yep.
move. They would just shake their heads a lot and
Right.
then
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
rattle. And it's like they do Christmas songs, but ridiculous versions, like a reggae version of Deck the Halls, and all the lyrics revolve around the turtles.
Wow.
It's like
And-
deck the halls with pepperoni. Like, that's-
and at the end, they say like,
that is painful.
they go, let's all sing
you,
this part.
you have no idea.
yeah. It's you go, at the
I'd
end,
like to keep it that way.
Yes.
they say, let's all sing this part together. Fa la 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 la. Merry Christmas to the Shredder.
Oh my goodness.
And then it's like, womp, 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 womp.
It does this weird like, meh, 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 like
Well, because
weird.
it's also like terrible 80s synthesizers and
Yeah.
like,
There's
hair
also,
metal guitar.
They do the 12 Days of Christmas.
Oh God.
But it's all presents that they bought Splinter and he hates
hates
them.
them.
He fucking
Yeah.
hates the presents.
Yeah.
They buy him like 9 narrow neckties. Like his voice is that.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
like, Turtles, why do you do this? You know what I mean?
It's, it's like 12 April O'Neil autographs. Like, and it's not even close to the
That's
meter.
the thing, and they just had to like kind of like the people playing the instruments had to just flub for a second.
Right.
It was
Oh man.
it's the number one worst Turtles merchandise thing that exists.
It sounds
We
it.
wish you a Turtles Christmas.
Wow.
That's what it's
Wow.
called. Find it. It's on YouTube.
I hope to never experience
No,
it.
no.
Yeah.
Around Christmas, it becomes like
Oh,
basically
no.
like Brad and I watch it and like tear up and hold each other.
My
at
wife will
Christmas.
leave me.
It's amazing.
My wife will leave me.
She'd love it.
No, she won't.
Does she like schlock at all?
She will leave me.
All right.
Does she like schlock though? Like bad stuff on purpose?
No.
Really?
No.
She seems pretty jolly.
Yeah, but not bad stuff for the sake of bad stuff.
Would she like Troll 2 or like The Room?
No.
Really?
No.
She seems like
We're
she
going to
has,
talk
like,
her into it.
Okay.
Your wife Elise seems like
She's
she
wonderful, but that's
she-
not her
She
thing
seems
at
like
all.
she has like the spirit of the same spirit that I have deep inside me, where it's like you appreciate the effort before you appreciate the art.
She'll appreciate
You know what I mean?
the
I
effort
could see
for a
that
good
from her.
15 minutes and then
Well, it's
go
only
back to
25
doing
Well, it's
whatever
only
she's
25
doing.
minutes long. So
Yeah.
watch it in 2 parts. and
Also,
you're
what
covered.
what if you tell her like, hey, Chuck and Brad found these turtle costumes and they made this Turtles Christmas special, and like Chuck and Brad are behind it.
Then she'd watch it.
Yeah, she'd be
like
very polite
straight
about that.
through. And comment on how amazing it is that you guys were able to like do all 4 parts and sync it up.
Oh, that's funny.
I'll do mine because I know
Yes.
you have like a little.
Yeah.
Wait,
Do your
okay.
history.
I'm very excited.
All right, so my history with the turtles goes back to the cartoon, the 2D turtles in the 80s. And it was done by the same animation house that did Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
And the animation is just beautiful and like kind of art for art's sake. I just loved watching it.
Yeah.
Like
too.
even watching it with the sound off.
Yeah, with they had like the line down their nose to kind of show what
Yes,
direction they were
it
facing.
was,
I
it
know.
was so
I
like
know.
the attention to detail was just so well done.
I know Tiny
Um,
Toons had the same thing for a little
They
bit.
did.
And
yeah.
it's weird because they went through like 3 different animation houses, and
Yeah.
the animation got like progressively worse.
Worse. Yeah.
Weird, but they
I feel like
started
the
out-
Turtles got progressively better.
I
When
did-
CBS bought them in the end, it really like stepped up their game.
the Turtles got better, and in the first episode of the Turtles, like it's all fucked up.
It's
where some of
like
them
all the
have
voices
the
are
same,
yeah.
they have the
yeah.
same bandanas. There's
Bandanas.
5 of them in one scene.
Yes, yeah,
It's crazy.
It is crazy. We tried to watch
We
it
watched
last
that one
night.
last night,
We did.
yeah.
We tried to watch it. We were just like, ooh, this does not hold up. Just like the scripts do not
Yeah.
hold up.
And you're like, oh, let's watch that
And,
meatball one again.
and or when Splinter is giving his origin story and the master comes on screen, it's just like it's unforgivable.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, very offensive Japanese, and we're like, oh no, we're not watching another episode of this. But yeah, all the figures. My batshit crazy uncle, who I loved to death, had some of the original Eastman and Laird's that he would let me read, and I much preferred the comic.
Yeah.
And your favorite phrase, just deliciously dark.
Deliciously dark. Yeah.
And just I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Nothing I had like read or looked at or seen was so as edgy or irreverent. And
Okay.
I loved them.
Yeah.
I wish I had them.
Yeah.
I wish like those were something that like he cared to impart to me, because I really did like live for reading those comics.
Yeah.
And of course, once the series came out, it was impossible to find them. Like
Yeah,
they
right.
were very early, like, ooh, this thing's gonna blow up,
Yeah.
and we know it, and we're immediately being poached.
I can imagine that they didn't have a lot of copies
Oh,
available
no.
anyway. Mirage
So, like-
Studios, you know about
Oh,
that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It was like not a real comic book studio.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
mean,
it was
East-
called Mirage Studios.
Yeah, exactly. And they put out the first issue on a tax return and a loan from their uncle, and
Yes.
they only did something like 100 issue of the actual original comic.
Yeah.
They did subsequent reprints since then,
Yeah.
but it was always under 1,000. So
Yeah.
they just don't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think my 5th birthday, we had a Ninja Turtle party.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Ninja Turtle cake.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Um,
classic.
Yeah, and I don't know, like for Christmas, birthdays, like all the holidays through there, they used to like release sets where you got a bandana with a plastic nose and like
Yeah.
the,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the weapon.
Yeah.
Had all of those. They
Love
didn't
them.
they didn't hold up well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all basically broke.
Flimsy. Very
They were
flimsy.
very flimsy.
Yeah.
I guess you would buy like hundreds of them.
Yeah.
But had all of those, and yeah, I loved the cartoon. I would say like that lasted probably until I probably watched consistently until like 93.
Mm.
I would say I had no idea it ran till 96.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and then in 2003 was the first. I kind of like missed everything in between. I saw the movies, of course, in the 90s, the live action. Loved those. Saw the 91 in theaters. That was probably like one of the first movies that I saw and remember.
Okay.
Did you actually love the Turtles 3 movie?
Oh God, that's fucking awful.
The one they go to Japan?
Oh no, I remember
a
watching.
rough
I
one.
saw that in theaters, and I think that was like one of the first. I know I walked out. That was probably like one of the first movies that I got up and left.
Wow.
Because also the suits were just fucking awful in that one
Yeah,
too.
they were different.
Like Henson wasn't involved at that point, I don't
Right.
think.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 2009 series kind of like 2003 pulled me back into it, and it started on Fox and then moved to Nickelodeon,
Yeah.
and it was a nice blend of what made the 80s cartoon so great, but the characters and the tone was truer to the Eastman and Laird comic.
Mm.
It was a much darker universe that they had crafted,
Yeah.
and I loved that. And I think I watched that whole thing all the way through. I was living in Worcester at the time, so like I didn't have much else going on.
Mhm.
It was like binge Ninja Turtles on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other than that, I haven't really kept up with it.
Yeah.
When the Bay movies came out, I was going, okay, it'll be what it'll be.
Yeah. It'll be
And,
the Transformers.
It'll be the Transformers
Mhm.
with Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
And yeah, but the 2012 animated series on Nickelodeon was great, and that kind of pulled me back into it.
Yeah.
Until I lost Nickelodeon.
Have you read any of the Batman Ninja Turtle stuff?
Yeah, and I just
Awesome.
I just watched the film that they did.
Yeah.
And that was amazing
was
too.
it film? I didn't watch the film.
Oh, it's so fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
I read the first series because there's like 3 now.
There's 3 of them. Yeah.
The first series was it was like surprisingly touching,
Right.
and really good. It was great.
Wasn't ready for that
Sure.
chapter.
And a lot of that comes through in the animated story.
Well, it was like Batman's kind of a dick in it and stuff like that, and Raphael's a dick, and they're scared of him, and blah blah blah. And then at the end, he's kind of like, you should really be appreciative that you have a family.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't have a family. And I was like, oh my God, Raphael,
Yeah.
you idiot, all these years, you jerk.
Yeah.
It was good.
Sketch, what's your history with the Ninja Turtles?
Well, I mean, it's pretty similar to everyone else's. I started certainly with the cartoon.
Did you
when I was
take
growing
karate?
up.
Because I took
did
karate
not
because
take
of it.
karate, but like
I took karate. I don't know if it was because of the turtles. They came to my school.
Mine was because of it, and I was really frustrated when I couldn't pull my head into my body.
Yeah.
Myself.
You would
that's
have loved
day
being a
one.
turtle.
That's the sensei
Yeah.
goes over. All right, just so everybody knows, your head does not go into your body, and 3 or 4 kids walk out, and then he gets down to business.
You know, I just remembered they made me do a split, and the guy sat on my back to do that thing where it like hurts your
Day one?
I don't know when they did it, but like that's not cool, right?
That's
No,
not
that's
cool.
not cool. You are correct. That is not cool.
That is child abuse.
Because I felt like it wasn't cool at the time, but
Yeah.
you're a kid, and so you're like, I guess everything that happens to me is cool,
Do you
right?
think-
Yes.
Do you think it was like sexual or just like he liked hurting kids?
No, he was doing it to everybody,
Oh.
and everyone was really in pain.
You think like you just liked hurting kids?
I think it was like some people have like different viewpoints on training, and like this is what it should be. Like you should do this. You have to go through this. You know, like in football, like in high school football, like
It's like
sometimes
these
kids
fucking
die.
kids that keep
Yeah.
coming in here
Yeah.
because of Ninja Turtles.
I think it's like in football where like kids die from dehydration.
Yeah.
And it's the coach being like, "Them's the breaks, kids." Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. You know, them's the breaks.
Them's the break. I never did karate, but I remember like a very big karate culture like in my
Yeah.
school because of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
I loved the show. I collected the figures like crazy. I don't think I saw the first movie in theaters, but I definitely saw it like immediately when it came out on VHS. I might have seen the second one in theaters. I remember they were played a lot at like birthday parties.
Oh yeah.
Like they were always on at the different birthday parties. I had tons of Ninja Turtle birthday parties. I never saw the third one until recently.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That must
Um,
have ruined some things for you.
It was rough, but it's okay. I'm a professional.
Talk
What else?
about movies on the internet.
Yeah.
We're professionals.
I saw TMNT. I remember seeing TMNT, I think with you,
Yes.
Shades.
Yes.
And we were both like surprised.
Yeah.
Like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, me too.
This is legit good.
Yeah.
And then the Michael Bay movie came out. I missed it in theaters for whatever reason.
As did I.
We
But-
saw it.
We definitely saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Opening night.
We
Turtle
saw it.
mask.
But I still haven't seen the second one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll
get into
I
that.
saw the
We will get into
I saw the
that.
first Michael Bay one when it eventually came to like Netflix or whatever.
Mhm.
And then I was gonna get around to seeing
I saw Out of the Shadows. I saw it on Hulu.
And I never did, but in preparation for doing this,
You watched everything.
I watched everything. I watched
Wow.
the 3
Wow.
first movies, so it was my first time seeing Turtles in Time.
Mhm.
I watched
Not as good as the
TMNT
game.
again,
No, the game is so different. It's like
Yep.
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love dinosaurs.
and I
Hoverboards.
watched Michael Bay,
Yep.
1 and 2. So I finally got around to seeing the second one. I think the second
The
one
second
did
one's the
better
better
than
of the two,
than
yeah.
the first Michael Bay movie. But
Yeah.
that's
wow. We
yeah.
gotta watch it, Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
It is almost a shot for shot remake of the cartoon.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
interesting.
we watched like a clip of it last night afterwards. I'm like,
It's
I never
almost
saw
like
Bebop and Rocksteady.
It's almost like a soft reboot of the 2014 movie.
yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Because
okay.
spoilers, Shredder's alive again somehow,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
basically
he is.
wearing the outfit from the 1990 of the movie, live action movie.
We'll talk.
It makes
about
no sense.
Shredder,
It's
'cause I
possible
was-
that the actor's not alive anymore.
Oh yeah,
But Shredder's still there.
Shredder's still there. The
Yeah.
actor's dead.
Yeah. And then before I came up here, I went to my parents' house and dug out my box of old Ninja Turtle toys.
Oh my
Uh-oh.
god, you found all the classic monster ones.
And
You're gonna give them to me
I
right
did
here, right
not
now.
Find the classic monster ones.
We only need 2 of them. One
But
is
I was
Invisible
going
Man and
to
one is
see-
Swamp Thing.
If you guys could identify
Of
some
course.
of these, and I'm
When
feeling
identify,
yes.
you mean name them?
yeah,
Usagi
Wow.
Yojimbo.
and I'm feeling confident. So here we go.
By the way, the reason I have my phone out is because I'm googling my recommendation. I don't know what it's called.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Open the box here. Makes great audio when I'm opening a box.
That's good.
Should I start with the turtles?
Sure.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
already
please.
talked about this guy,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Donatello,
Donatello.
undercover Donatello.
No wonder you knew it was him.
Yep.
I
Groucho,
knew
yep.
right away.
I'm not gonna peek in the box.
And
All right.
yeah, you can't peek in the box.
yeah.
What's in the box?
I also have.
Oh, it's Gwyneth
I brought
Paltrow's head.
one of each of the original turtles.
Oh wow.
Love that one.
Sewer surfing Michelangelo.
Okay.
Love
For
that.
our longtime listeners, I'll post some pictures of
Yeah.
this
We'll take some
on our
pictures.
Facebook so you can look at it.
Oh,
But he's
that's
covered in
awesome.
seaweed and barnacles.
I
And,
love
Yeah, that's
those.
not seaweed.
uh, Okay. Discuss. He has an eel coming out of his pants.
He does.
That's
not an eel.
Hey.
I have Happy Birthday, Leonardo. So
Got a little party hat
it's
on.
supposed to. Let's see. I didn't try
some
this.
of them were very cheap. Like in later runs, they did
Yeah.
hard plastic faces.
Yeah, but I love this. He's got like this pearlescent
Yeah.
blue for his
Happy
bandana
birthday.
and everything.
Yeah,
And he's
very
supposed
shiny.
to be a noisemaker. Let's see. There are old sketch teeth marks on it.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
It still works.
He's still a noisemaker.
That's
That's
amazing.
pretty good.
I have this little picture of Raphael that I must have drawn.
Wow.
last
That's
week.
a sketch
I think.
original. Should we auction that off on the Patreon?
No
Yeah,
way.
I
I'm
think so.
keeping that.
It's a great drawing.
My Raphael.
You put you put a thing in there and you pull it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He had speech strips, which I couldn't find.
Yeah.
You would put it in this.
They're
this,
long. They're like almost a
sewer.
foot long.
Yeah, I remember them, but I couldn't find
And
it.
is it the actors from the show?
I don't know what
I
it
don't
was.
know.
I don't
They
remember.
didn't-
Is it,
didn't
if
sound
if you
great.
can find him and it's actually Rob Paulson, I imagine that's like incredibly valuable.
I don't think it was, but so you put him in there, you pull him out the other side, and just it would play through
Right.
this sewer grate on his
Yeah.
back. Different cowabungas and so on.
Yeah.
Some of the crazier guys.
Okay.
Love it.
Ace
Love it.
Duck.
Ace Duck, yeah.
Love
Ace
that.
Duck. He was an ace fighter pilot
Yep.
who turned into a duck.
Yep.
I still feel like they should have had the hat that he comes with attached to the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I bet 99% of those hats are gone.
You know,
Yeah.
so when the 2016 movie came out, I made the decision. I talked to you all through this because I was like, I don't know if I should do this. I sold the majority of my Ninja Turtle
remember.
stuff, and he fetched a pretty hefty price because I had intact with his belt and his
I have
his
his
grenades
wings,
and his
but
wings
I couldn't
and his
find
hat.
his belt and his little grenades.
He had a
and all that
bandolier. It
stuff.
was actually a bandolier,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there was a spot for the wings to go through the back.
I have the complete set of a Mickey Mouse
Nice
Christmas Carol,
Yeah.
Mickey's Christmas Carol figures, and Scrooge's glasses are independent of his face. So it's like you have to really be careful.
Yeah.
You do.
It's crazy.
Most of my I still have the original 9 figures that they released.
Yeah.
Well, I guess minus Shredder. I lost my Shredder.
Yeah.
But all of their
I hated
their
the
weapons
Shredder.
It was
Shredder had the-
stupid. He was
body,
shirtless.
His body was so like
Well, it was the
scoliosis.
same. It was the same mold as the Foot Soldier.
It looks just like my cousin Christian. My cousin Christian has Sherman
That's-
Skyphosis. His
that's
spine is all
mean.
twisted and jacked.
That's mean.
They told his mom he needed like a back brace in high school, and she was like, "Nah."
Fuck that.
And so now he's all like fucked up and hunched. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So his
Sorry, Christian.
He's like the Quasimodo.
Your cousin's a jerk.
Yeah. Wow, it's the truth. He knows his back is messed
But
up.
our entire audience didn't need to know that.
me and Brad have both had spine surgery too.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah, we can speak from experience.
Yeah.
I
Same
didn't have Sherman
surgery,
Skyphosis.
different times.
I'm desperately
All right,
trying to
let's
avoid
get
it.
these next.
Yeah, these next
Wait,
turtles.
this guy, I
This is
remember.
not the spine surgery episode.
This guy, I remember
Jesus Christ.
so strongly
Yes!
from my
Yeah,
childhood.
Metalhead. And you've got his backpack.
I got his
You don't
backpack.
have the satellite dish.
No, I don't have the satellite dish. I mean, these were heavily played with.
They
as
were.
children.
Yeah.
And his
He's in
eyes light up
remarkably good
when you
shape.
put him up to a
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
to light and put him
I
up
wonder
to
if
a
I
light.
saved
that's
it.
really
Yeah.
cool.
Isn't that
Great.
awesome?
I wonder if I
Great
saved my
audio.
metalhead. At the end of this, I'm
These
going to go
figures
grab
are crazy.
mine.
These
They
are
are.
awesome.
They
Yeah, and
really
they're
are.
like good.
I know,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
really
You know?
good.
And they were like $5 a piece.
Yeah, they
It's
were
like a
$5.
huge value.
I forgot about this guy.
Fugitoid.
Fugitoid, very
Fugitoid
good.
was another character that was created by Eastman and Laird.
Yeah.
And like his number 1 issue was like the back of a Turtles issue.
yeah.
It was,
Yeah,
it was,
yeah, yeah.
it was combined with it.
He
Fugitoid.
appeared much later in the run too.
I got nothing.
Brad, you got nothing
No,
on
If
Fugitoid?
nothing-
you were a
nothing-
turtle, you'd be Fugitoid.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brad, you got this one.
Let's see
Then.
here. I could have gotten Raphael so far. I don't have that one.
Skating Gecko, what's his name?
His name
Gordon
is
Gecko.
Close,
Oh.
except not.
Okay.
Mondo Gecko.
Mondo
Mondo
That's a good
Gecko,
name.
a
Yeah.
skateboarding gecko with braces.
That's a cool name.
Did not have any
And-
recollection of him.
And
I got Mondo.
and lots of zits.
And I took his skateboard, which was very big.
Do you have? Oh my
It's
goodness! I
coming.
peaked.
I know.
I peaked.
The skateboard that he came with, I used to use that for everybody else.
Yeah.
'cause I love that.
Yeah, it was
skateboard.
huge.
It was the
Everyone
best
was
one.
It was.
They made multiple skateboards
They
for different
did.
figures, but that was the best.
I had
one.
the cheap skate that like had the foot that kicked out under it.
That was the best.
And what was easy to break was the control arm.
yeah,
It was
Oh, I
very
know.
easy to break.
They
That,
had-
that fetched a hefty price.
So it basically looked like almost like a bodyboard with a huge like wind fan on the
Yeah,
back, and you
yeah,
could
yeah.
kind of make it go. It had like a
Yep.
All their stuff was like trash put together to make
Yes.
these vehicles,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
such a fucking awesome.
They had like
great
a
aesthetic.
donut inner tube with like a net in the middle
yes,
and like pincers.
the
that
Rat
came out the
King's
front.
like little thing.
Ooh,
with
I remember the
snakes in
Rat
it.
King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was
Maybe
gonna,
that's who
I
you
was
are,
gonna
like-
say
thank you.
Brad would be the Rat King.
yeah. It's either the Rat King or Fugitoid.
Was there an alligator that?
Yes.
that
Oh, he's coming.
Oh,
I saw
a bayou alligator.
Leatherhead.
Leatherhead.
And you're right, from the
Wow.
bayou. He is the Raging Cajun Gator.
Yeah.
This is
He hunted the turtles.
I gotta say, this is like
With-
one of my favorite Turtles action figures.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the best.
I completely forgot about
I
him.
never
but
had
when I
him.
opened up the box and saw him, I was like, oh, shit.
Leatherhead, yeah.
It's crazy because a lot of these characters did not ever appear on the show.
Leatherhead did.
But Leatherhead
Yeah.
certainly did.
A lot. Like Mondo Gecko, I don't know if he appeared
No,
in the
he
show.
didn't. I don't think.
And that's it. And then I got some of my weapons. My chucks.
Wow. The nunchuck.
Be careful with those.
and
Those
my
can
side-
break
I
bones.
mean, guys,
Wow.
calm down. I'm a professional.
You
I
have
will not hurt
you have
anybody.
a Raphael Sai
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Michelangelo's nunchuck. See, I remember. Interesting. I just
90 pounds of force right
Yeah.
here.
I just parted with my Ninja Turtle nunchucks, and mine were constructed very differently.
Well, I'm sure they made many, many different
Yeah,
versions.
mine were like perfectly proportional and had a T on the bottom.
Are
of
you
it.
saying these aren't perfectly proportional?
No, they're not.
I
They're
think-
narrower at the top than they are at the bottom.
I think they're perfect.
Do some tricks with those.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
90 pounds of force, baby.
Fellow chucker over here.
That's what the ladies say.
Wow.
So there you go. A little blast from the past for you guys. Some of my old figures.
That was cool.
Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
I only remembered like 3 of those.
Yeah. No. I remember all of them, but I also have been looking. You know, I've been looking through bins of turtles for the past 7 years.
Yeah.
Every September.
Right.
So
I
I experience them a lot.
The most shocking one that when I parted with my turtles was there was one called Ground Chuck.
Oh yeah.
And he was like
He was a bull
he was a bull
with a big target over his eye.
Yes, yeah,
He was-
yeah.
he came
was
with a-
he was a cyborg.
He came with like another character, like Ground Chuck and somebody, and it was a gopher with a hat on its head.
Oh, wow.
And
Caddyshack.
and a flashlight.
Ooh, that'd be
It was
great.
2 characters that were released together at the same time, and they were
I
both
only
in an
have the
episode
one.
at once. Yeah, I mean they were just released at the
must-
same time.
Oh,
in the same
at the
week.
same time.
But they were in the same episode of Ninja Turtles working together, like Bebop and Rocksteady.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You remember Screw Loose and Wingnut?
No.
They were like it was like a bat,
Yeah.
like a Batman costume.
No.
Oh, yeah. And his little mosquito was.
Were they
other
in
guy.
the series?
Yeah.
Much
in the
later.
show? Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was. It was.
I
in a
don't
weird
think I
series.
really watched past season 2.
I know. I don't know what I watched either. It was
the-
weird.
the-
all these characters would be in like one episode.
Yeah, the first season was only six episodes, and it was produced by Playmates to sell
Yeah.
the toys. It
Yeah,
was
right.
like shown. They were shown in like movie theaters. They were shown like they were infomercials almost.
They,
And then
they came
and
out
then
with
they got
Pizza
picked up.
Hut things.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
buy them
yeah.
at Pizza
You
Hut,
would
the
get them.
VHS.
Yes, exactly. Specifically just to sell the toy. Chuck Lorre
Oh.
created the. He was one of the pitch guys that like helped create the series, and he wrote the theme song.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
2.5 Men producer.
Yes,
Yeah.
Big Bang Theory. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. Damn.
that's crazy.
That
That's
is
like
crazy.
where his career started, working at Playmates.
Yeah. You know, can I? I think it fits in now. You know how we're each going to do a recommendation?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to do mine now because it fits in with this so well.
Okay.
It's a documentary that few people know about. It's called Turtle Power: The Definitive History of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But it's not the history of the Ninja Turtles. It's the history of the merchandise of the Turtles.
Oh.
And it's like a 90-minute
That's
documentary.
cool.
They have all the original sculpts of the characters. They go through
Wow.
a bunch of them and how they came to be.
Sculpts.
Yeah. So they're like, you know,
That's
they look
impressive that they
like
still
hard
have them.
clay and they're like one
Well,
color.
that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. But it goes through like kind of all the merchandise decisions and like why this happened, who sent in stuff, and which ones they bought. One of them was the giraffe with the basketball hoop around his
Yeah,
neck.
yeah.
Yeah.
I see. When I was online looking for the names of all these guys, and I was seeing all these guys
Yeah, yeah.
blast from the past, and the
Yeah.
giraffe.
The documentary is fucking excellent. And it's all there, like they talk about all this stuff because a lot of this stuff to us is almost a mystery because
Yeah.
we were kids when it
Yeah.
happened and
Right,
there was no
right,
internet
right,
at the
right,
time, so
yeah.
you couldn't even
Yeah.
look
Oh, yeah.
up stuff. You're like, well, why did they make this? When did this change? How come they went in this direction? And this, I think, sheds a lot of light on that stuff. It's a
Where can you
great
find
doc.
that?
I mean, I think it's on DVD, and I'd be surprised if it's on a streaming service, but it
I
could
bet
be.
it's on Amazon.
It could be.
Everything seems to be on Amazon if you're willing to pay for it.
Yeah, I'll look on my app, Just Watch, and see what's on there.
I was pulling up my app.
Okay, do
It's
it.
called Turtle Power.
Turtle Power. It was. I remember when I wanted to watch it, I had to eventually download it somewhere.
Okay.
I couldn't find it anywhere on a streaming service at the time. But I think it was one of those things that maybe even started on Kickstarter or something like that. But what a great documentary. Find it?
Yeah, it's pulling up right. You can rent it on most of the streaming, Amazon,
Okay.
YouTube, Google Play, Apple,
Worth it.
Fandango
Totally worth
now,
it.
Voodoo. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's so interesting.
It's not
Yeah.
streaming for free anywhere,
Oh,
but
that's okay.
but you can.
I'm sure they put a lot of effort into that, and
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
probably worth the $4
Yeah.
to rent it in HD.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna do that.
So should we dive into these movies?
Let's dive in.
The 1990 independent Ninja Turtle, I'll start there,
Yes.
is an adaptation of early Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics. The origin story, the rooftop battle, the sojourn to the farm, the battle with Shredder are right out of the comics, almost scene for scene.
Yeah.
And elements of the Playmates miniseries, Michelangelo's personality, April as a reporter, their love of pizza, and their colored bandanas. It became the highest grossing independent film of all time. Disney, Columbia, MGM, Paramount, all passed, and Warner Brothers all passed on it because of the flop that was Masters of the Universe.
Ooh.
So they were all like
Yeah.
very gun shy after that. New Line eventually wound up releasing it
Because they looked at it as a cartoon adaptation.
exactly,
Yeah.
right, exactly,
okay,
and something else that was going to sell toys that
Even though it's not really that.
it's not at all.
Yeah,
It's not. It was a
which is
huge
interesting.
mistake. It is still the highest grossing independent film of all time. It was directed by Steve Barron, and Jim Henson, who was a friend of his, only agreed to do the costumes because he had a personal relationship with him. And when Henson saw the movie, he was like, it's too violent. It's not my wheelhouse. And he refused to stand behind the film. He like openly did press conferences against it.
Yeah.
And it's like the last thing that he personally worked on. He died 2 months after the film came out.
Wow.
And it's kind of weird that was his legacy of like, don't see this movie.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have been involved with it.
Yeah.
Brian Henson was actually heavily involved in it. I think he was the second unit director, and actually I think he directed Secret of the Use.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because they didn't bring him back. They said his vision of the movie, Barnard, Stephen Barnard. They said his vision of the movie was too dark, so they actually brought a lot of people back in. They ADR'd a lot of things and reshot a lot of the fight sequences.
Yeah, I
'Cause
noticed the
they
ADR
thought
when I
was
watched it.
too like the script and movie he shot was too close to the original comics and
Yeah,
not close enough to the cartoon series.
I know there was one scene where one of the kids like got murdered.
Yes.
By the
Yeah.
henchman.
Tatsu straight up murders him.
and
He is dead.
In the American version, they had to be like, "Oh, he's still breathing." It's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
dubbed in
Oh,
off
yeah.
screen.
Yep.
But in other versions,
Dead.
He's just
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I watched it very recently. Going, oh shit,
Tatsu straight up kills him. Yeah.
child death,
Yep.
and then the little ADR. He's still breathing over there. Okay.
He is alive. We went to the hospital. He's having a great day.
We all got ice cream.
He wants to go for a walk.
Yeah, so it turns into Monty Python.
Oh, yeah. So, I always ask Sketch, how much do you think it cost? How much do you think it made?
And I'm always horrible at this because I can't even think in terms of this kind of money.
This one's crazy.
I
to me.
will say it cost,
Remember, it was produced in 1989.
all right, 18 whipped cream and jelly bean pizzas,
12 April O'Neil autographs.
12 autographs, 8 neckties,
And a partridge in a pear
and a
tree.
partridge in a pear. What was the final thing?
Oh, yeah.
And a pizza with
Oh, of
pepperoni.
course.
yeah.
I feel so silly.
I am ashamed.
I don't know.
Of
Give me the
myself.
number. Give me the real number.
Do you guys want to take a staff? How much do you think it cost?
I
I
actually
know how
read.
much it
Yeah, I
costs.
read
Okay.
the IMDb
You know how
trivia.
much-
But
okay.
but if I had to guess, I would say, if I had to guess, I probably would have said closer to like $6 million.
Okay.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
not what it
Yeah.
costs.
It cost $13.5 million, which like The Long Dumb Road, which is the Jason Mantzoukas like independent film that just came out, cost $13 million to make.
Yeah,
That's like such a low figure for when you look at this movie
I'll say
and
this.
what they did.
I think most of that money went into the animatronics.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the money went to the suits.
There's not many movies that have animatronics that are that specific, like that work with that much articulation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was shocking to me how well the suits held up watching it in 2019.
Yeah, I agree.
me
Yeah.
too.
And
I know.
like just like their movements and
yeah.
like,
Have you seen the
suits
behind the scenes and
themselves.
stuff?
Yes, it's
with
crazy.
with the huge controllers.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And the guys in the suits just had like a little window at the back of the mouth that
know.
they couldn't see through it. It had a fan that blew air into them.
yeah.
They couldn't see when they were doing anything in the suit. They had
Yeah.
to prep everything
Yeah.
on a soundstage
They were
with the
shooting
heads
it,
off.
They were shooting it shot by shot.
yeah.
Wow.
So they'd have to. Yeah, I know.
It's crazy. They would like
Yeah.
rehearse everything on a soundstage and then like put that like go out onto the stage that was also proportioned, and then put the heads on them, and they just had to do it.
I know.
And they were like doing backflips
I
and
know.
shit.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
insane.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
insane. How much do you think it made? Do you guys also know?
I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sketch. You're on the spot. How much do you think it made?
Damn it!
It's stupid.
It's a stupid amount of
It's
money.
a stupid amount of money for $13 million for the cost.
65 million.
It's higher. Do you want to take a second guess?
95 million.
I'm just sad. $202 million.
That's
in
stupid.
its original run.
Yeah.
Like when you look at it now,
In
it's like
1990.
yeah, that's its original run with VHS. And when you look at it now, it's like it's something even more stupid, like $600 million that it's made in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's crazy. Secret of the Use, not so much.
Yeah.
Turtles in Time, definitely not.
I really like Secret of the Use.
I
but
I
also
also
like
like
Secret
Secret
of the
of the
I
Use.
preferred it.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's
Never
funny
seen
because
it.
there's this whole like
Whoa. You're missing out.
Yeah, it's very good.
I'll
you
get
know
there
what?
eventually.
I'll say this. I've never said this on the podcast, but I'll say this.
Do it.
There's a run, and it's hard to think of everything that's part of this, but there's a run of late 80s, early 90s movies that were too dark for me at the time
Yes.
when I was a kid. And a lot of those movies, I think that there was some studio suits or whatever that were like, hey, these are too dark for kids. Let's do a brighter version of them.
Yeah.
So let's say Turtles and Turtles Secret of the Use are kind of those
Yes.
two. But also, Batman
And
1
Batman,
and 2.
and Batman, yes.
I was going to say Batman Forever becomes the
exactly.
cartoonish
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
And for me, that worked at the time where I'm like, I
Right.
like Batman Forever better.
Yes.
I like Secret of the Use better. Now going back, I have a different viewpoint on it.
Yeah.
But at the time as a kid, I
I
definitely was
much
like,
preferred Secret of the Use
Yeah.
as a kid.
and as a kid, I think with the original Turtles movie as a kid, I was like, I don't really like this. It's not bright enough. They're not that green. Like everything is
Yes.
shot in darkness. They're not joking that much. Like
Yep.
they are joking kind of a lot now, but I watch it back. But and I don't know. I've never said that before out loud, but I feel like that happened to me, and I was just right in that age group where, yes, I like this thing. No, I'm not interested in this
Yeah.
project. I wasn't interested in the original Batman.
Wow.
I've never
Oh, wow.
achieved an affinity, affection, I guess.
Affection, yeah,
What is-
affinity. Same
You,
thing.
you,
Affinity.
you have to
yeah.
finish the sentence before I
Yeah.
can tell you what
Well,
was-
I know you know what I'm going to say. I never achieved an affinity for the original Batman movie.
Oh,
The
interesting.
Burton Batman. But I love Batman Returns. It's like one of my favorite
I hate Batman
Christmas
Returns.
movies.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Oswald Cobblepot. I thought
Yeah.
you would relate to that a little
No.
bit. You got those weird hands?
Yeah. Okay, the obvious thing there was my nose chop.
Oh, you bleed ink?
Yeah.
You're always eating raw fish.
my,
we call it sushi.
it's amazing that I can play guitar with these mitts.
By the way, I don't think I've ever seen the original Burton Batman. I've
Wow.
definitely seen it.
All right.
Kim Basinger.
You have to have us on your show and we'll do Batman.
I've,
Oh, that'd
I've
be
like,
fun.
That's the thing
I think
to
I've
do.
watched it like one time.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not interested in it at all.
I listened to the Prince song and the soundtrack 150 times.
Oh, Bat Dance?
Yeah, my
Bat
I,
Dance.
I was doing basketball camp, and my roommate for basketball camp had the single, and we would just listen to both sides of the
Oh my
single, just
God.
over like in our limited free time during basketball camp. Jeff Thiel would play it like back to back to back to back to back to back to
Wow.
back.
I appreciate Tim Burton, and I like Batman Returns, Nightmare Before Christmas. I like all the Burton stuff, but Batman, the first one, doesn't have that Burton feel to me at all. Right? I don't know.
I will just say we tend to differ on Batman movies significantly.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We just don't Sketch. I don't know if we just don't talk about Dark Knight Rises.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I like Dark
it's
Knight
not,
Rises.
I can't
I,
stand Dark
I
Knight Rises.
gathered when he said you differ because
Yeah.
I know his opinion on
Yeah,
Dark
yeah.
Knight
We just
Rises.
don't talk about it. But
He thinks Heath Ledger's version of the Joker is laughable.
Oh, really?
No, he doesn't.
no, I don't remember ever saying
No,
that.
he never said that.
I have said I think he's just doing a heightened version of Nicholson.
Yeah. He thinks that Jared Leto is the best Joker of all time.
He has said that a lot. He got that tattooed actually on his upper thigh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Leto
And he's-
for
and
life.
he-
Leto for life. That's
Yep.
exactly what it says.
Well, he's wearing Daisy Dukes right now,
Yeah.
so we can all
That's how
clearly
we get to
see
read
it.
those tattoos.
You guys don't know this. It's typical recording attire
Yeah.
for
Ah,
Shades.
makes sense.
Absolutely. What was I was just gonna say I think the first Batman movie is really special. If you go back to it as an adult and,
All right.
and look at it,
I believe it.
I'll give it a chance.
scores of the original 1990 independent Turtle movie. IMDb gives it a 6.8. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 40%.
Whoa.
Fuck you,
Wow.
Rotten Tomatoes, in my opinion. 89% of Google reviewers love that movie, and I am going to give...
You're not going to give it to our guests first?
I'm not. I'm going to
Okay.
give it a 90. I fucking love rewatching this movie. I'm giving it a 90%. I have there were very few moments in watching the movie that I said, I don't know about that. That took me out of the world that they had created.
I think that they did a great job of creating a universe and living within it. I give it like a B+.
A B+. So like an 87?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a kid's movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's, ties in with my opinion on the Michael Bay film. Like an 80, 83, like a B minus.
It's a kids movie. I think of it as like the same as like Back to the Future in terms of
there are things for kids in it.
Yeah.
I think it was primarily for kids. That's my opinion. Which is different sometimes. That's no big deal. Sometimes we disagree, and we just have to learn to agree about that.
It's like the two man children here give it a high. It's not a kids movie.
Yeah.
I didn't write down. I gave it an 85.
Okay.
I still thought it was great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the nostalgia. I didn't remember it at all until I started watching it. And then as I was watching it, I was remembering every scene as it was happening.
Yeah, I didn't remember it that clearly. And then,
honestly, all I remembered before I watched it was seeing Shredder's helmet get crushed.
That imprinted in me as a child.
Yeah.
But I got to say, I'm kind of with Brad on this. There was a lot of like lines and dialogue that I was just like, I can't get behind this anymore.
Do you want to start with rants?
Let's do it.
And just was that a rant for you? The lines and dialogue?
Sure. I didn't write it down, but we can say that.
So sure, let's start with rants then.
Okay,
guys, do you want to give us your either of you want to give us your first rant?
I'll give you my first rant. First of all, I think that this movie is hard to rant about. I actually really like a lot of it, and I think they did a great job with it. So I don't have a lot of legitimate big rants. But my first one was when I was a kid, I just thought it was too different than the cartoon to appreciate it. That's, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that that's kind of a legitimate viewpoint to take because that's probably who you're marketing it for, right?
Definitely.
So if you make something that's just completely, even if someone's like, no, I'm going to take the Turtles in the original direction from their, comic book counterparts, it's like, yeah, but this is going to be kind of marketed to people who know the cartoon and like the cartoon. So that is kind of an interesting misstep or possible misstep. Maybe overall it wasn't a misstep because it did so well and people like it.
But I agree. I don't think they did a good job of
bridging that.
Yeah, and also in there was nothing in the marketing that would key you in that it had been a comic book and that's what they were going for.
Yeah, and they used the same logo, I think, in the marketing. And
they did.
Like that. So it's like,
it's right there.
Yeah.
Rant for me, in addition to some of the dialogue, because I wrote no teenagers talked like that.
Yeah. But as a kid, I thought they did.
Yeah. I mean,
like as a young kid, I was like, I guess that's just
I
teenagers.
guess we say totally tubular.
Yeah.
I can't wait till I say that.
I can't wait to turn 13 and
So
just expand my vocabulary.
I say Cowabunga.
You do say that.
Cowabunga, motherfucker. Mayor Margera says it. That's why I say it like that. Yeah. He says that sometimes. It's very strange.
A rant is that they're talking about the citywide crime wave, and it's like purse snatchings.
Yes.
It's like, well, I don't know that that's going to be leading the news.
They steal a TV from an old lady.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
I watched them both back to back last night. By the way.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was serious enough to warrant kind of the media response in world.
Yeah.
And knowing what I know now about New York and crime rates and
there were conservatively 10 murders that happened at the same time of this crime wave.
Right. Yeah. And we've all read or watched Freakonomics, so we know correlation and causation.
Right.
So for me, like the idea in the late 80s was that New York was just crime, just wall to wall crime.
Me too.
And now it's like, it's just a tourist trap. Like so.
That's an interesting rant. I'll give you it's funny because just counter rant.
Oh, good.
Ooh, counter rant. I like that.
New.
We're going to start using that counter rant.
I totally bought it for some reason. And when you say that, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So it's like, did they do a good job of kind of sweeping over that for me? I don't know, but I didn't even think about that. But that makes a lot of sense. It's like, why would they care about like, even if we say that we only saw 3 individual episodes of thievery, like, even if it is people's TVs and stereos getting stolen,
I'll agree. They did a good job of communicating just how much stuff they were pilfering from like going to the hideout and then seeing everything that there was
there.
Right.
There wasn't a combination TV, DVD player or VHS player left in the city.
That's true.
They were all in that warehouse.
Which is funny too, because you'd think they'd be selling them.
You're right.
Yeah. They just
No,
want
they
Were
them.
they
want 'em. They
shipping
just
them
want
back
'em.
to Japan? It made no sense. Like
They
they were
just
going
want
to
'em.
ship them back to Japan, repackage them so people rebuy them. Was
I
my
guess.
Yeah.
rationale of that.
I have a question. So
Well,
April,
save it. We do big questions at the end.
well, this is not. It's a very
It's
small
not
question.
okay.
Small
okay,
question.
okay.
When April says to the foot soldier in the subway, she says, "I hear about my Sony bill."
Oh, that's so.
Is that a
offensive.
racist joke?
That is so offensive.
Is that a
Yeah.
racist joke? 'Cause I didn't.
think.
I think it was.
I didn't
yeah.
understand what she meant, and then Lou's like, "That's a racist
That
joke,"
is,
and
yeah.
I'm like, "I don't get it."
Because he's
They
a
were
ninja.
Japanese.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
a ninja.
Because I guess, yeah,
and
Sony was
Sony
Also,
associated
is
with
Sony billing people directly in 1990?
That's what I
That's
mean,
where
yeah,
I
yeah,
stopped.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like,
No, I don't know if
Are we-
That's not
just
how
past that, like-
That's not how currency
like, honey,
works.
I don't think.
listen, I'm up to my eyeballs in work. We got to pay off this VCR this week because
I have a
bleeding out
question.
my ass here.
Is it weird of me to not associate Sony with a nationality, or is it basically back then? Maybe it's different.
I think we were closer. The thing that we often forget is in the mid to late 1980s, which is when, even though it's coming out in 90, that's the world that produced
sure.
this.
Yeah.
We're still so close to World War II. And like the attitudes and sentiments, there was still so much like distrust of the Japanese.
I think about the idea that like
Led to Michael Crichton's book Rising Sun.
Yes,
I thought about this before. This is a bigger kind of discussion, but like the idea that there's these older generations, and I'm not saying that they're racist, but they care so much about people's ethnicities and nationalities in a way that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
it's
it's like
absolutely generational.
where it'll be like someone like who's like, let's say 55 right now,
Oh yeah,
might mention that someone is Irish or whatever.
I mean
and
that's the joke. Like if you're like Italian, marry a nice Italian girl. Irish, marry a nice Irish girl. It's
yeah,
It's,
and I don't think it's
It's so
necessarily.
important.
I don't even think it's necessarily someone like it could be someone Irish saying that. It could be someone
exactly.
you
Yes,
know what I mean?
yes.
It's not
yeah.
like a racist thing or a negative thing, but these nationality and where you came from is so important to the whole
and
thing.
just doesn't
And
matter
it
at all
doesn't even,
anymore.
Yeah, I don't even think about it. Like
Yeah.
someone, I don't even consider it as a thing.
I mean, I think right
If
up.
someone said to me, "What nationality is Justin Mara?" I'd be like, "I don't know, Denmark."
Well, when people ask me,
Penguin.
like
Wasn't
what
it
are-
penguin? Antarctic?
my students would famously ask me like, "What are you?" Like they, because it was so important to them coming from the DR, coming from Puerto
Wow.
Rico, and it was like, "What are you?" I'm a Time Lord. I'm like, "What? What?"
Yeah, I never even thought about it. Like, I honestly
I was
don't.
born fully formed in
Yeah.
this blue call box.
Yep.
I don't think about what my ethnicity is at all. But I think that I'm the majority. Like, I'm a French guy.
I don't trust any of that stuff anyway,
Do you
because
think
also like
I'm a French guy.
What, I,
What a weird question,
I
right?
think I think
Do you think I'm French guy?
I think of you as I think of you as a French fry. No,
Phrasing
I
it
just
that
like
way
see
makes it
Brad
even
like,
weirder.
how do I appropriately answer this
I,
question?
I think
Think of me
I
as a
think
French
I
guy.
think of you as a French guy because you've identified as a French guy for so many times.
First of all, I
No,
don't
this is a
identify
great
me as
point.
a French guy.
You're always walking. You're always riding a bicycle, and you've got a loaf of French bread sticking out a bag in the basket in the front.
This is the other thing.
I'm not racist, but I hate the French.
Sketch does a terrible French.
I've been told not to do it anymore.
Well, we immediately after
Please
one
do
of
it
our
in front of
episodes
me.
where we did it, we lost half of our subscribers in France.
Wow.
It was that offensive. I've asked you to never do it again. God damn it!
That wasn't me. That was Chuck. They don't know.
That was fucking so good. As a representative of the French, do it all day.
Thank you. See, now I have clearance.
No, but it's one of those things where it's like, my grandfather is this percent this.
But also
and I think I'm mostly French.
Okay.
It's 21st century. You can be whatever you want to be.
I don't even understand what
But
it is.
like so many people, if you were, let's say, like Italian or in the 1970s, or if you were Irish in the 1920s, people would lie about what they were. And now, like,
Wow, yeah.
when you ask like people like, when they have to do ethnicity reveals, like, oh, we're this. And,
Yeah.
like they don't fucking know.
Yeah.
It's so
It's so inconsequential to people now. But I think it's also the closer you are to first point of contact with the immigrant experience, it really fucking matters.
That's
like
a great.
people
That's
who
a great
have
way to think
just
about it.
Yeah.
arrived, it's important to them because
Yeah, it's identity.
It is, and the community is so
Wow.
important. But the further away you get from it,
You don't care.
it doesn't. Because I mean, I'll say this when people do ask me, I'm told our family is Italian, but like I'm as Italian as the Pope.
Really, I heard you were Denmark.
I heard that too.
That's the other thing that people say all the time. They come up with. So it's like
When people
it's
mention-
so bizarre to like think of myself as anything other than like I'm a
guy.
I'm American.
Yeah, but
I am born and bred of this culture.
When
And-
people mention it, I'm like, are we in a Grand Theft Auto game? Like,
Right.
what's going on
Yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah.
Who cares? I don't know. Like, do I have to do a drop off? I don't really. I don't need to know their nationality.
Go down and see Frenchie and like and
Yeah.
down from like the whatever they
Yeah.
because like the Croatian part of New York, which is
Yeah.
like that's a thing.
I don't know.
Like,
yeah.
My favorite NPC though in Grand Theft Auto is the guy that comes up to you and goes, "Hey, do I look like a French guy to you?"
That joke about when you did the laugh and said, "No, that was Chuck." That's the joke of the episode. By like leaps and bounds. Oh, that was so funny.
We were ranting.
Yes.
Sketch, do you want to give your
There's
first
not
rant?
a terrible amount to rant on. I the one thing I picked up on this watch that I couldn't land on.
Well, just the idea of your face. I'm like, do you think of me as a friend? You're so
His face is like,
befuddled.
what's the not offensive answer to that question?
I know. I'm so sorry. I'm not
No.
going to derail this. I'm not going to. I'm sorry.
Casey and April.
Yeah.
Okay. Their relationship,
Their
lack
relationship, their story, their journey in this movie. I remember as a kid thinking like that must be for the grown-ups. And now watching it as a grown-up, I was like, if that was for the grown-ups, it was not done well.
Yeah.
And so
Interesting.
yeah, like I just
Like
never
it's interesting
cared
too
about
because
them.
they try and insinuate like it's the morning after that something happened, but the timeline doesn't match. There was nothing. There's like no reason for them to be like having that awkward like we're in the kitchen now and we're trying to like function. Like nothing. They only just got there the night before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, and they probably arrived at like 2 a.m.
And
so
then
there's
Casey gives that really creepy back rub
like yeah.
after he's been slicing vegetables with
Yeah,
a katana.
with the katana, it's
Yeah.
it doesn't work. So I'm right there with you. It's
Yeah.
like
I didn't even notice it. I don't know. I saw
Yeah.
it through a child's eyes.
Yeah, and like,
Last
but
night?
as a kid, I
Last
was like,
night.
"Oh, this part isn't for me."
Right.
Who was the child?
Yeah.
Tell me what you think
It
about
was
this.
it was Metalhead. I held him up to a light. Yeah, that's right.
if I hold it further away.
I'd say my one other rant
Yeah.
is that, and I realize how dumb it is, it being a kid's movie. Splinter should have died because,
Splinter absolutely should have died.
he
When
says
what?
this is the last thing I'll say to you.
Yes.
And they're communing with his spirit or whatever. And I think it makes their journey more powerful.
Yes.
And part of it is just kind of an overall frustration with the lack of consequences in not just Turtles, but like, the greater media universe as well. I just finished a video game. I will not name it because the ending is a character should have died to make narrative sense, and that character didn't die. And it's frustrating to me as someone who's consuming this.
From a good storytelling standpoint.
Right.
Yeah.
That they-
Sometimes a character has to go.
Right, and even like they faked killing off a side character about 80% of the way through the game, and then I'm like, oh, maybe it'll be revealed that like this is just a hallucination, and not the case.
Yeah.
So a little frustrating, and so that was kind of in the top of my brain when I was watching this. But Splinter
Wow.
did say, "This is the last thing I'll
yeah.
say to you."
I think-
I'm,
I think
I'm
he- I think-
giving like he was basically like I'm like what's left. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
Fire.
and it's time to grow up.
Yeah.
Counter rant.
Oh, all right.
Oh, counter.
boy, here
I
we
was
go.
just gonna say,
You loved it.
I love Splinter.
to me, him as the ghost above the fire.
Yeah.
What it meant was like a unifying moment for the turtles.
I agree.
Sure.
The last
yeah.
thing I'll say to you kind of meant during this visit, the spiritual visit.
Okay.
And then that's how they knew Shredder was lying during the fight when he
Oh,
said
okay.
that Shredder killed him. That's why I think they did that.
Okay.
When Shredder's like, he's dead. And they're like, liar! Because
Yeah.
of that moment.
Right.
But I understand what you're talking about, too.
Okay.
I think and it was one of my big questions. I'll just ask it now. Do you think that was a rewrite? That they did in the script, the original script, they did kill Splinter, and then the suits were like, "Oh no, you can't kill Splinter."
I don't think you need to kill Splinter.
'Cause-
I think the idea of him getting... Because so what happens in this movie,
'Cause
essentially,
at that point in
is
the film, Splinter is like tortured, bloody, and like just you could
I
just
remember
see
being
the
very
sweat.
upset about that as a child.
I was upset
me
about
too.
it rewatching it as a grown man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, and Elise was like, "Holy like that's dark."
Yeah.
I
that
didn't-
is dark.
I don't think that they should have killed him. I think that his whole speech...
Not should they? Do you think that in the original script, like they killed him?
I don't
Because
know. I don't
that
think,
my
I don't
note
think it-
is forced ghost Yoda Splinter in a fire says like this is it. I'm dead. Like to me, that was like he died, and that's how he was appearing.
I definitely could see it as a rewrite. I just think for the overall hero's journey is that the mentor has
Yes.
to die in
Mhm.
order for the hero to kind of accept their destiny and move forward.
Yes.
And
And Raphael stops talking about leaving at that point.
Right.
Like he this is his family. He can't his brothers will now die if he leaves.
I don't think so, because it almost seemed in this movie, and maybe this is just me.
This is gonna be the deepest fucking conversation of this movie ever.
It almost seemed like in this movie the turtles are on a journey, and they regroup to continue on this journey, but they still are not capable of fighting Shredder by the end of the movie.
Sure.
And Splinter has to come in and beat them because he's an actual master, and the turtles are basically still learning and still
They're
growing
still
by the end of the
novices,
movie.
yeah.
So that's kind of how I took it. So I don't know if it would be a rewrite, because that would mean that at the end of the movie the turtles do just kind of beat him somehow. You know what I mean?
right, by working together.
By working together, yeah. And
Sure.
I think that it made more sense for them to continue to be in a state of learning.
Okay.
All right, guys, brass tacks. Casey Jones beats the Shredder. Let's just
He said it was an accident. He said, "Whoops."
Yeah. Plausible deniability right there.
plausible, straight up like second degree murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, Force Ghost Splinter was a big rant for me. It took
Yeah.
me out of it. It was like if Splinter had that kind of power the whole time.
Well,
like,
they had to meditate,
Yeah.
and they were
Yeah.
bad about
They
it.
were the
they
ones that
were
did it.
terrible.
Yeah.
They were the ones that got him, that were able to reach him.
Yeah, I
because
feel
they
like
were able to
Splinter was
meditate.
always transmitting, but they
Me
were never in
too.
the mindset to
Me too.
accept.
I
You know,
agree.
and
I agree.
around that fire, they
Look, I'm just saying, like, it's right up there with like the Stranger Things walkie-talkies. Like, what's the range on meditative clairvoyance?
I'll say this. I think that
Unlimited. You're traveling through the astral realm. Come on.
so we
we just need a large campfire to receive it.
Yes.
this movie is muddied by the fact that they're like creatures. They're like,
Yeah,
they're not
yeah,
real
yeah.
humans.
Yep.
So imagine this as 4 ninjas that are not turtles with a master,
minute.
and the master is like,
Got
I'm a master of ninjutsu, blah blah. You know, we have to regroup, and then he's the main guy. He gets kidnapped, and the 4 ninjas finally come together to meditate around
Oh,
a
shit,
fire.
I just realized. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think it makes sense that those ninjas coming together to meditate finally gets him there. But the fact that they're rats and turtles almost makes it be like, well, what are they, magic? Blah, blah, blah. But I think that if it was just ninjas, you'd buy it
like
more.
if the movie was just called Teenage Ninjas.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninjas. That's it.
I-
Dot, dot, dot. That's it. What else?
are they still mutant?
Yeah, how are they mutants?
Oh, no,
They have
mutants.
deformed
Just teenage
toenails.
ninjas.
Teenage
So,
ninjas, yeah.
so I think if they were just ninjas and they finally regrouped and were able to communicate with him, I think everyone would buy it more. But the fact that there's already an element of
Fancifulness.
fantasy makes it like a little bit more muddied.
We should
Sure.
reshoot the movie just as Teenage
Well, I was going to
Ninjas.
say,
shot for
isn't
shot
that-
remake.
Isn't that basically Three Ninjas?
Yeah.
I've never seen Three Ninjas or
I can't be a
Three
ninja.
Ninjas
I'm a
Kick
French
Butt.
guy.
Oh, okay.
That's true. Yeah.
They're French ninjas.
You're a frinja.
Frinja.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just put out a Craigslist ad for
Sure.
athletic teenagers.
Yeah.
Sketch.
Yeah, you know what? That sounds good. You
Yeah,
take care of that.
That was Chuck, by the way.
I need young, impressionable teenage boys,
Oh,
very
no.
flexible.
We don't ever really cut anything out of the pod, but that's the line, I think. Sketch, did you give your rant?
I did. I gave my rant about Casey in April.
Oh, yeah,
I
okay.
mean, if I had one other rant, it was just that, and this was a problem in the television show too, that I didn't notice as a kid, but I noticed more moving forward as the turtles developed more individual personalities in later
Sure.
Right.
editions of themselves. I like that much better. So when we go back and they're all just kind of generic party dude, with the exception of Raph,
Sure.
I missed like
Donatello was not an inventor. in this,
Donatello's
yeah.
not an inventor. Donatello
Leonardo is barely a leader.
I feel
But I think it's
Leonardo
very
was a little
early
bit
in their
eerie.
journey.
He was
Yeah.
very leadery, but he was. I'm going to say weak, but not in like a physical way.
Right.
He was like
Nerdy.
hesitant,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
as
He
a
was
leader.
cautious. Yeah.
cautious. That's a good word
I
for it.
never said I was your great leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Michelangelo and Donatello were just kind of
Good.
in the background.
Well,
doing
they were
silly
they were
stuff.
the little brothers.
Yeah.
they had a different motif.
Yeah.
They were the little brothers.
And I think growing up, I was totally fine with that. But now that they have these character tropes that they fall into, Raph being the tough guy,
Mm-hmm.
as he's always been, Donatello being kind of like the nerdy builder, and Michelangelo taking party to the nth degree.
Yeah.
I missed that going
Yeah.
back.
Sure.
So
I'll just kind of like a throwaway. The references and quips do not hold up. Like there are like Rocky and James Cagney references.
they're not timeless.
They do not hold up.
I like that. I think that that's a positive. I find that to be a positive. I think that some things
You're just full of counter rants.
Counter rant
well,
right there.
I think that some of that's like Back to the Future
Sure.
also has some references to specific things of the time. Pepsi, all this stuff.
Sure, but I mean, like, was James
DeLorean?
Cagney still like relevant
Oh,
in
so
the
he-
1980s?
Well, that's a different rant. Your rant is that it was already.
That's what I mean. They don't work
In
even
that time.
even in that time. They didn't work.
Oh, maybe.
Like in the
I didn't
theater,
know
I didn't
that
know
at
who
all.
James Cagney
I
was.
saw James
agree with
Cagney
that.
as the Turtles had limited access to media.
I
Okay.
agree, Cagney.
Oh, yeah,
As I agree that it was not a timely reference at the time. I
Okay.
agree with
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
I have a quick side thing I'll tell you guys that I just thought of that I know you guys will like. Brad likes it. I know he likes it. You guys will like this. So for a long time, I've been producing short comedy films with my band Senior Discount. And they're essentially like episodes of the TV show The Monkees, but about this band, and it's kind of for adults, not for like kids. And we do a lot of
No,
cutaway.
it's not like the Monkees. It's nothing like the Monkees. They're not listening.
And so we
It's
do
a totally different premise.
we do a bunch of cutaway jokes, and one of my proudest ones was we did a joke where like this is the worst than the time that Gilbert Gottfried voiced Michelangelo, and it cuts to this scene where Raph and Leo are fighting, and he's like, "I never said I was your great leader," and Raphael is like, "You know me," and they have this huge fight,
Right.
and then it cuts to Donatello and Michelangelo,
And then, like,
and
the pork
Michelangelo
rind
has
scene?
the pork rind, and he reaches over and he goes, "Pork rind," and that's the joke, right? Isn't that joke so funny?
That's fantastic.
So we did that, and we actually that's in one of our videos.
Yeah.
That joke. But we did a follow-up joke that we cut because it was too stupid.
Right.
It was later in the episode, and we go, "This is worse than the time that Gilbert Gottfried voiced all the Ninja Turtles." See, with all of them having his voice. Isn't that so funny? Oh, that's a great joke.
The Michelangelo one's fun, but all of the turtles is too much.
No way.
You
great
crossed.
topper. Great topper.
You went past the line.
Yeah, so funny.
Oh my God, Brad, do you have any other rants?
I have. You told me to come up with 4.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
did a couple.
Yeah.
Good, Brad.
I had 3, and my third was about Splinter's death. So I am done with rants. I have some raves when we're ready for that.
Sure.
All right, so my rants, because I had to come up with 4,
Yeah.
I kind of stretched my rants. The fact that it was low budget was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you got Batman at this around the same time and Ninja Turtles, and it's so obviously
Yeah.
a thing in real life without having to come up with rants.
Right.
I think it's actually a strength.
Yeah.
But at the time, from a kid's point of view, or even from like a young adult's point of view, of someone that's not a filmmaker, essentially, you could be like, "Come on, Ninja Turtles deserve better than this." Sitting on a farm and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like you might think of it
Yeah,
as
the
like
set-
less
The
exciting.
sets weren't developed. Well, I mean, they weren't sets for the most part.
Exactly,
The most
exactly.
elaborate set they built was the sewer.
And again, I think that now I look back at it, I think it's a fun strength and it gives a fun feeling to the movie.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I said it that way at that time.
You
And
don't
my-
have to have 4. I
I-
mean, if there are things
I
that
only-
worked for you that you were like, oh, well, I have to have 4 rants, by all means.
Well, so my third rant, the only one this is the last one I
Yeah.
can come up with. Shredder looks like a little shrimpy dickhead.
Yeah.
Like it's weird, and here's why.
The costume looks great, but the guy inside of it, he looks
This
like you
is-
could snap him in half.
this is-
I'm
this-
right there with you.
This is the problem. They probably got a guy who was a regular guy, but that whole Shredder thing with the head and the shoulders was so wide.
Yeah.
And so
dwarfed him.
big
Yep.
that it makes him look like he's as flat as a pancake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes his shoulders so wide.
Flat Stanley
Yeah.
inside the
Yeah.
shredder.
When he first shows up and it's from behind, he's
The-
got the,
the cape.
cloak on.
Yes.
I wrote down.
The Shredder looks great.
fantastic.
The minute they took
and
the
then
cape
he turns
off.
around. Oh,
When he first
I better not say
when
that.
he first showed up
Yeah.
and I saw his body, I thought he was walking into a psychiatrist's office to talk about his bulimia problem.
Yeah, when they
It was-
the minute they take the cape off of
Yeah.
him, the illusion's gone.
Yeah.
Like even
Yeah.
when he's still wearing it, but they like pull it back over
yeah,
the
when you
blades,
can see his body.
it's okay still, but when they like take the thing off of him, it all falls apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so they used the Muppet body for this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
It was so
basically.
weird. Yeah. Those are my only rants.
Yeah, I'll say Casey Jones straight up murders the Shredder, and then like the next like major takeaway is I made a funny. It's like what the fuck? Like we literally just like gruesomely crushed a human being inside of a trash compactor, and the next line is I made a funny.
It's
What,
hard. In media, I don't know
What
when
the
you can kill someone and when
fuck?
it's okay. I
Just
don't know.
what did you think of the joke of like, oh, are you claustrophobic? And he's like, what? No, I've never looked at a dude.
Yeah, that doesn't hold up well at all.
No,
I
it
was
doesn't.
like,
but you know,
wow, I forgot about
Yeah.
the 90s, and that obviously went way,
Way
over
over
my
my
head.
head.
Weird
Yeah.
too is because is it the the analog would be homophobic,
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So why would he say that?
Yeah.
Because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very strange.
But yeah, I found that a little We just murdered someone.
Yeah.
Well, there's this problem of like, well, what do you do in movies when, like Casey Jones, is he a murderer? Like, what's the
Yes,
Yeah.
clearly, and he's not in the second movie because of it.
deal? Because of it. I don't think it's
He's
because
in
of it.
jail. He is in jail.
But you deal with this problem.
Well,
of
no,
like
Henson was like, no, you can't have him in the second movie, and then he's back in the third. For
He's in
some
the third.
reason.
He's in it twice.
so it's interesting because you have this thing where it's like narratively this makes sense at the time, and then things change. Like let's say at the end, Shredder is so bad he's trying to kill them and blah 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 that the audience is with you when you want to kill him.
Right.
But it does kind of create this moral issue.
Hey guys, not to break up the episode too much, just wanted to let you know that at this point in the show, Chuck and Brad give us their rolling thesis on the Fast and Furious series, and there were some spoilers there. So we've cut that up and we've put it into an exclusive episode over on our Patreon, patreon.com/shadesansketch. You can hear all of our other exclusive Patreon episodes there, as well as Chuck and Brad's Fast and Furious thesis. Is Jason Statham part of the family or just another villain? Tune in and find out. Back to this week's episode. Guys, thanks for tuning into our Fast and Furious movie. Episode.
I think that this kind of moral issue can come up when you're creating these movies and these stories that like, well, if Turtles happened in real life, like Casey Jones, that wasn't in self-defense.
No,
Yeah.
he straight up murdered the
That guy
Shredder.
fell into the back of a dump truck and he murdered him. Like if that happened with me and Brad, and even if Shredder was trying to kill me on a roof,
Right.
and he fell into a dump truck and Brad crushed him to death, I think you might still go to jail.
No. It was an accident. That's why I said
He
whoops.
said, "Whoops."
Your Honor. And you're like, why did I let
He
him?
clearly said whoops afterwards. He was just looking for a place to lean.
I'm obviously representing you in court, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
Your Honor. Yeah.
Brad, as your legal counsel in this matter, I'm going to advise that you not let Chuck.
The whoop defense. If you commit a crime but you say whoops
Whoops.
beforehand, you're innocent.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like Louis Tully representing the Ghostbusters in 2.
You're going to rob a bank, and every time you throw the money in your sack, you have to remember to say whoops.
Whoops. It's just falling in, guys.
I don't want to be doing this.
Are you psyched for the new Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
I think it's
really
gonna be
am.
fucking awesome.
It's going to be amazing.
I don't even
Yep.
like the Ghostbusters.
I love them.
That's Ghostbusters. Another movie too dark for me to like relate to or understand
Really?
the hype for. That's how I
Ooh.
felt when it came out.
I love Ghostbusters.
And then I was like,
It's my
Big
favorite
Walking
franchise
Marshmallow
of all time.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's my
Same
favorite
thing
of all
as
time.
Batman, Turtles, Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Too dark, too serious. Then sequel, cartoonized a little bit. I like the sequel.
Oh yeah, that was the takeaway from our episode. Like Ghostbusters 2
Yeah.
was the more enjoyable and cinematic of the two somehow.
My brother's
terms of
first
the
words
movie.
were Statue of Liberty because of
Wow.
that movie.
Wow.
Isn't that
That's
weird?
crazy.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
very strange.
Interesting parenting techniques on
It
the part
sounds,
of
it
your
sounds like a
parent.
lie, right? That sounds like a lie.
It does.
Who's gonna know?
But I mean, I'll take it as.
The French.
Should we transition to raves? We still have another movie to talk about.
Yeah, let's do raves.
I'll-
I love to get deep into this shit.
sure.
Sorry,
yeah,
that's
sorry.
fine.
That's all right.
I love
it's
it.
our 50th episode.
Yes, yeah.
We need a
And we don't have any
Yeah.
Oh,
French.
where's my Leonardo?
We'll put him in.
We don't need French pieces of shit up our ass to
Oh
keep it nice
my
and tight anymore.
All right. So here are some.
not even me.
There go all of our
There's
listeners
the
and
other
friends.
half.
I am deeply apologetic. No one else in the room seems to be, but I am.
Here are
Longtime
some
listeners and
raves I'd like to
All
talk
right,
about.
thanks,
fans.
Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
I thought they did a lot without much of a budget.
Absolutely.
I thought the character design and the animatronics were A+. And I thought it was cute to watch a stop-motion rat do kung fu moves.
That was
Yes,
awesome.
it
Oh, I love
was.
that part.
Yeah.
I love that part.
So those are my raves.
I'll piggyback on the turtles in Splinter. They just look like comic characters brought to light.
Yep.
The turtles suits really do look like the original Eastman drawings.
Yes.
And with the exception of the colored bandanas, even the way their harnesses belt across them, down to they really do look like his original drawings of the turtles.
Yeah.
And I think that is amazing
Yeah.
that they were able to. The Henson Creature Shop in 1990 on this kind of budget was able to do that.
Yeah. There is something that's like a good analog for film for those original drawings.
Yeah.
It's a really good.
And I
transition.
watched it in HD on Amazon Prime, and then I was like, oh, the suits don't. I mean, I can see the seams. Like all of the turtles look like they've been like garroted.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whereas,
I
but
do
then-
see the seams a little.
But then I went back and watched my VHS because I still have it.
Yeah, of course.
And all of that goes away because
yeah.
of when it was shot on the
Yeah.
medium that it was shot on, it was hidden.
Yeah.
Like, so it's really, when you watch it in the intended
Yeah.
format that it was created for, this is another case, I think, where enhancing it over time, the Blu-ray doesn't make the experience better, it makes it worse. Like, when you watch the original footage, it like, oh my God, these are 4 turtles and a rat on screen.
Yeah.
We watched Jaws, and it was the HD remaster.
It's terrible.
Well, I don't think it's terrible, but in the beginning, when you watch it, you could see the girl's vagina.
Wow.
Like, just when it's like swimming up, you could see her vagina.
Oh my
and I'm like,
goodness.
this is really strange.
Yeah.
I actually really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
but you paused it for so long.
I actually appreciate the Jaws restoration. There's an 1.5-hour documentary about the restoration, and they painted on some of the.
Really?
Yeah, so I really appreciate that.
Well,
but it does
yeah,
change things.
it changes it.
It does change things. It definitely.
I mean,
does.
the shark always looked fake. The shark really looks fake on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look real, but it looks like what Jaws should look like.
That's fair. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I know what you mean.
Is Jaws is basically a megalodon, right? It's not a shark.
I think it's a great white
Just a
shark.
big great white.
Isn't that basically a megalodon?
No, megalodons are freaking huge.
I know.
Okay.
I think Jaws is like 27 feet long, which could
Okay.
be a great white could be 27 feet
Okay.
long.
And this is not the Jaws episode.
Yeah. My raves. Want to hear mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my first rant was that it was different from the cartoon,
Yeah.
but my first rave is that it's different,
Different
from
from the
cartoon.
cartoon.
Whoa.
Which is cool.
Wow.
That's
It's a
what I
counter
like.
rant.
You know, like someone was talking to one of the writers of either, Dark Knight or whoever,
Mm.
and they were like, why would you want to go see a movie with a story that's the exact same thing that you already know? And I was like, it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
That's fair.
I'd like to go see someone with a new take on a character in a
Yeah.
world that I love, which is why I like Batman Returns, Dark Knight, all those different things.
I think it's great that the cartoon changed the origin story, because in the comic, this was the comic origin story.
Yes, the
that,
mutagen just hit them.
They hit them and they grew.
They became people. I thought the story was really good. I thought that the idea of like them kind of being scattered, coming together at the farm to like regroup a little bit was actually a really good story. I like Splinter talking to the kid about his dad and how his dad actually cares about him. It made sense as an analog for Splinter's story and all that stuff. I like that the turtles were kind of like real as opposed to the cartoon, where it's like they can be like whoop whoop whoop, and they could all like do a crazy cartoon thing.
Yeah.
And this, they kind of had the same rules as like people. And then I think that there's lots of memorable moments in that movie, like when the pizza falls on Splinter's head.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or when he says like, "I made that funny," like
Yeah.
all that different stuff. And I think they really are. They did like a lot of memorable things with nothing. They were
Right.
like,
Yeah.
it has to be our efforts and the tone and the writing and all that stuff to just make these movie moments that are hard to create. It's hard to create. You built a DeLorean. I mean, a
Right,
time
a
machine
time
out of DeLorean.
Right.
Like that's the line delivery. That's writing. That's the
Right.
right moment. The right emotionality. That's a hard thing to achieve, and I think that they have a bunch of them in this movie. So I think that I was really impressed with it, to be honest. More impressed than I expected to be with the original
Yeah.
Turtles
Yeah.
movie. Really.
I was on my rewatch too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My biggest rave was just the look of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On
Me
such
too.
a-
Me too.
And it immediately takes you into.
That's what I mean by the reality. It
yeah,
feels like you're in a world.
Well,
in
here's the other
world.
thing too. The world building is subtle but so strong, and it's like it's the New York City of your dreams and imagination. Like maybe New York never actually looked like that, but
Right.
when you think about
Yes.
New York of the 1980s, where you step out into a street corner and get mugged,
Yeah.
like that's it. And they did such a great job of filming it, but
I agree.
it's not just that. It's also the way it's filmed is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool.
The cinematography
It's
is
gritty.
a work of art.
It's high contrast. It's gritty. It's dark.
And,
it
like-
feels more real.
So much of the camera angles are like classic filmmaking technique, and they're using film as a narrative story device. And just one of the moment that really stood out for me, and talking about like memorable things, is when the turtles are driving away from like April's flame engulfed house. And it's like this slow motion shot where everything just like kind of stops, and the flames are dancing in the back window of the Vanagon that they're driving off in, and like she's just been fired.
Yeah.
Her home is gone, and like everything of her parents
Dark Night of the
gone.
Soul.
And it's that like it can't possibly get worse. And like in the it's probably no more than like 10 seconds on screen, but it's
it's so
not
important.
if Michael Bay did it, it would be like, oh, my house just burned down, and it's like it would just be a
Yeah,
static
yeah.
shot and things would be blowing up behind it,
Yeah.
and it would all be exposition and just like the what did they have access to? They had access to a camera and probably as much film as they needed, and they used it to tell a story.
Yeah.
And that was so impressive to me.
I'll say additional rave for that part too. Watching it last night, when Michelangelo's on the ground and they're trying to hit him with the axes, it keeps rolling and rolling, and it keeps weakening the ground. And then all the guys are about to jump in, and they jump in, and the floor collapses. I was like, "That's fucking awesome!
Yeah.
What a great idea! Like that could have been in Lethal Weapon, and I would have bought it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that I don't know. I just thought that was a very sensical move. I like that. And it's funny because you think of that, like someone listening to this might be like, "Well, who cares? It's just a plot device they came up with." It's like, well, I think that stuff is hard to
hard to
figure
come
out.
up with.
I think it's hard to make this transition. Well, how do they get from the apartment to this? It's hard to make that feel like a cool part of it.
Absolutely.
You could do it in a way that works, but it's hard to make it feel fun
And authentic.
and authentic. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sketch, you got a rave?
Not one that you guys haven't already said.
Oh, shit.
I mean, you guys covered it. Yeah, I mean, the suits was my biggest rave. And how well they held up.
Yeah.
Even looking
Those
back.
teeth, they're scary.
The teeth are...
The teeth are
turtles are
frightening.
upsetting to see.
Yeah.
You can see why everyone is really frightened to
There's
see
nothing
them.
fun about them. When you look, they're veiny, they're like
know.
swampy,
Yeah.
they look like they have lizard
They
skin.
have to smell horrible.
They must.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that all the
rust.
time. Yeah.
I will say a long time ago on the podcast, we talked about how I love a good real creature.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, practical effects. We talk about this all the time. Real creatures and practical effects.
And I will say, I think I like a movie more if there's like a believable creature in it. Like, I love Gremlins. I love that stuff. I remember we talked about it. And I asked you if you'd rather have sex with a Wookiee or a threesome with two Ewoks. Remember that? What did you say?
I've yet to answer.
Oh, okay. Smart.
Really thinking about it.
Yeah.
The pros and cons list is just growing.
I mean, it depends on the Wookiee and the Ewoks.
Of course. That's a sensible
always
answer.
Always does. Oh, that's funny.
I only know the name of one Ewok.
Wicket?
Wicket. Yeah. Did any of the others have a name?
I think there was
the chief.
That's his name.
They exist
Wicket.
because
I'm
you
going
know
with Ewoks. I'm going with
Ewoks.
Ewok threesome.
That says a lot about you.
Well, just think about like the treetops. That's beautiful. Romantic.
They're also like
Yeah.
small childlike creatures.
No, to me they look way more like old men than
Really?
children. Don't you think so? They all have like beards and
how is
mustaches.
that better?
It's
not
legal.
illegal.
That's,
Oh,
that's,
okay.
that's
Because
the
old
key.
men can consent with
They
sex.
they look like dogs to me. They look like Lhasa Apsos.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking. It really depends.
Yeah,
You
you,
know
really
what?
want to
I
be
have-
careful before you
I
answer.
have one last-
Wookiees have teeth.
I have one last rave.
Go for it.
I have one last.
Do Ewoks not have teeth?
I'm pretty sure Ewoks have teeth,
They're
Chuck.
so much softer.
Oh my goodness, we're learning so much about you that I just don't care to know. I will just say Shredder and his Lost Boys Foot Clan were that was so smart and a way to do it, that and just like, I'm stealing your kids, I'm giving them purpose, and then I'm coming for your city. And there's something like, I don't know if it works better now in the world that we live in or if they intended it at the time, but there's something like insurgent and like ISIS about that.
Yeah,
And it's
sure.
like, even though we're like, I thought it was really smart
you're right.
putting him, like, he's stopped before he's able to put his plan into motion. He's got his army, he's got his plan, he's got his stuff, but then he is stopped.
Yep.
And it's like, there's something terrifying about that. And there's a mature storytelling here, even though it's a
Right.
kid's movie.
Yeah, I agree.
As an adult watching it and just being like, oh, like, this is dark.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is so dark that
Yeah.
like he's had this sway over the lost children
He's
of New York.
essentially radicalized them.
He has
Yeah.
radicalized them.
Yeah.
Yes,
against
absolutely.
against the current prevailing culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there's nothing going on like that now.
Exactly.
So
I'll give you a funny little mini rant that's kind of a funny New York part of it.
go
that I
ahead.
noticed.
Go ahead,
In
Frenchie.
all the beginning where they're like stealing stuff, you
Yeah.
can tell that the city shots are real and the individual shots are like, shot somewhere else.
It's North
Right.
Carolina. They shot in North Carolina.
All of those shots have "I love New York" bumper stickers
Yeah.
like, plastered everywhere.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
To
Yeah.
show that they're even the TV has one.
Yeah,
on it.
That's great.
Yeah.
So funny, isn't that?
It
I
is
was like,
hilarious,
it's like
yeah.
such a dumb and funny way to do it, but it makes it charming to me. Honestly, I
Yeah.
like that.
Cool.
I think it's funny.
Nice.
I guess it's
Moving on to the next film.
Wow,
2014.
big.
Well,
drop
any
off.
any big questions on that one? Or
Oh, should
you
we
wanna
do the big
film?
questions? I only did them as a whole thing at the
Oh,
end.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any big questions for the 90s? Should we just leave it behind?
For the '90s one, I don't have a lot of big
I don't
questions.
either.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was okay with that one.
I'll just ask this because I thought about it as we were talking about it. Do you think Ryan Johnson stole Force Ghost Splinter back for Force Ghost Yoda in Last Jedi? Because that's literally how like Yoda appears and like sets fire to a tree.
It just
Do you
seems
think that
good
was
as
his
Force
influence?
Ghost. Yeah, maybe. It's like
Probably.
stealing it back is hard to say. It's
Yeah.
like when people say that Marvel stole shared universe movies from Kevin Smith, and he's like, "No, Marvel did it first in a different way."
In a different way.
You know what I mean?
All right. 2014.
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay. Okay. Following the purchase of Mirage Studios in 2009, Nickelodeon acquired all of the rights to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and promptly announced a new film through its corporate partner Paramount. Michael Bay and Platinum Dunes were brought on as producers in 2010. 5 different teams of writers cycled through the project, at one point having the Turtles arriving from another planet, announced by Bay himself at the 2012 upfronts, causing production to halt and major rewrites to take place. Principal photography had to restart in May of 2013, and the project wrapped photography in August of 2013. With massive rewrites and reshoots.
Let me just say this before we start with this. I like Michael Bay. I like The Rock.
Said nobody ever.
Really? Do you like the movie The Rock? Is
Oh,
awesome.
did he do that?
He did The
Yeah.
Rock.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
okay.
so.
All right, all right.
I think he did a bunch of good stuff. I think if you looked at his resume, you'd be like, "Oh shit!" Like Armageddon is pretty good.
No, that's a Michael Bay movie?
I think it's a Michael Bay movie. I think
shit.
that's
All
how he
right.
became famous.
Armageddon. All right. The
I-
Rock and Armageddon are they're serious. He's got filmmaking chops.
I think that
I know he did
basically-
Bad Boys, right?
Yeah, I think he direct Bad Boys.
I don't know.
We're gonna look right now. We're gonna talk about his filmography because it's an interesting thing. I thought that Armageddon was kind of his leap to big budget movies.
Interesting.
Let's see. So Michael Bay as a director, bunch of small shit that we've never heard of.
Pain and Gain. That's
Vanilla
funny.
Ice, Short, Sticks, Playboy. All right. Here we go. Here's like regular stuff. I'm trying to get to it. It's actually a lot of. Wow, he did the Aerosmith "Falling in Love Is Hard on the Knees" video. He did Bat Out of Hell 2. Wow. All right, here we go. First movie directed, Bad Boys. That's a good movie. It's a pretty good movie. I'm not like in love with it. I'm not in love with Bad Boys, but I think it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
He directed The Rock, which I do love.
Yeah, I
I
think
love.
that's
The
a
Yeah,
Rock.
great movie.
that's a great movie.
He directed Armageddon.
Okay.
He directed Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
He directed Bad Boys 2, which is one of my favorite action
Yeah.
movies. I think
I've
Bad
never
Boys
seen
2
it.
is. Oh, it's incredible.
I prefer the original.
Really?
But I will
Yeah.
agree that the action is better in the second one.
Dude, they basically like do a whole movie and then they have to go to this island to rescue somebody.
Right. And
they
do
drive,
another
like,
movie. Yeah.
And it's like when they drive down that mountain through
Yeah.
the town, it's incredible.
Yeah.
He directed The Island, and then he went into Transformers. Then he directed Pain and Gain, which
Pain and
I
Gain is
loved.
great, yeah.
I loved Pain and Gain.
That was like the movie he made after Transformers
Can't
to
even
like
think.
cleanse his palate.
Pain and Gain was it's a real story, and it was Mark Wahlberg and The Rock,
On The Rock.
as these two guys that worked at a gym, like instructors, and they kidnapped this rich guy and they kind of hold him for hostage. And it was based on a real movie.
Wow.
And
Real
honestly,
story.
A real
Real
story.
story.
real story. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And they made an edition of the Blu-ray later that also includes a full-length documentary about the original thing.
Oh my
And I
God.
still want to watch that. But Pain and Gain was a good movie.
Huh.
Then he made 13 Hours. And yeah, that's all it has as director. Did he just produce the Turtles movies?
Yes, he's just the producer.
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
not the
so-
director.
So I think of Michael Bay, like I know that people love to kind of shit on him and stuff, but I actually really appreciate kind of his contributions in general. And it's funny to think of like, well, when you're this guy who has a budget and some constraints like The Rock, what happens when you get,
Right.
something like Transformers or Turtles
Sure.
and there are no constraints and you get to do exactly what you want? Because I do think that Transformers is not great. I've only seen the first one, not really interested in it. And then obviously I don't think
It's
the
not
Turtles
good.
the Turtles is good either.
No.
We
But-
liked the first one. We
Well,
talked about
the
that.
franchise overall is
franchise
not
then
good.
fell
the,
down.
the first
Yeah.
one's fun.
Yeah.
I never really liked the Transformers ever.
Okay.
So I just wasn't
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah.
It's hard because I do think that sometimes nostalgia can be at least a hook.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that hook.
That's
but,
fair.
But I like Michael Bay in general. I understand the criticisms and I pretty much agree with them, but I think that he obviously has the ability to do really good stuff,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Should we do the scores?
Yeah.
Let's do the all-important internet scores.
IMDb gives the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles a 5.8. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 22%.
Whoa.
88% of Google reviewers love it, and I gave it a 78.
Wow.
I was being generous.
I was gonna say on a score of 1 to 100,
Yeah.
I give it like a 42.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't think it's good.
I was being generous. I was trying to find things to rave about.
Yeah, it's hard because I love the Turtles so much,
Yeah.
and I've been appreciative of like every iteration is different. Even the toys to the cartoon, they're not
Right.
the same.
No.
So I appreciate everything, and I think that the design of these turtles was like abhorrent.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because I'm one of those people who is really like, let's give it a chance. Let's see, like maybe this is different. That's okay. Things change, blah blah blah. And I'm usually okay with remakes and reboots, and I try to really appreciate things. But I just thought the designs in these were like awful.
Okay, great. Then I'll tell you my real score. Fucking 0.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
I fucking hated this movie.
Well, it's those
Like, I found things that I could rave about.
those designs. It's almost like they're the opposite of the original designs. The original designs
Yeah.
were unifying, and they had these simple differences that really kind of made them a team. And this, it was like, oh, they're like stupid warriors. Their faces are flat, which I hated. That.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I hate the look of the turtles.
They all have these like accessories everywhere, like a bamboo
Yeah.
chest plate and like the seashell necklace. Everything just seemed so unnecessary, and like it was almost like they hired a person that had to redesign them,
Yeah.
and they're like, they're gonna fire me if I don't come up with something, and they just kind of made up shit as opposed to
Well,
being
they-
like, well, let's just kind
They
of make
looked
it.
like triangular aliens from. I'm trying to think what movie they kind of look like.
Yeah,
but,
I know what movie you're talking about.
yeah.
It was in the 80s, and they had big green heads.
Yeah,
What the hell
and I
movie
can't
was
think
that?
of it.
Mars Attacks.
No,
No,
it wasn't
it
Mars
wasn't
Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
I know what you're talking about. One of them wore sunglasses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had to do massive redesigns at the last minute.
crazy.
But I mean, yeah, it was hard for me to find anything to rave about to like get my score. I thought I was really going to offend you if I said like I hated this movie and couldn't score it.
I got some raves, but
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, I got some raves eventually when we get there, but yeah, I hated the design, and I am not that person.
I gave it a 50.
Okay,
It's fine.
okay,
It's there.
it's potentially harmless.
I hear you.
65, because it was like, it wasn't as offensive to me as some of the other things we've watched.
Sure,
But it was
watched-
nothing. It was a whole lot of nothing.
it was. It really was.
Have you watched the Friday the 13th movie where they go to space?
No.
It's a great one. I love that. Jason X.
Jason X?
It's
Yeah.
great.
It's a great episode of HDTGM.
Yeah. Yeah, I've listened to that.
Yeah.
I actually really like Jason X too. I really appreciate it.
Oh my god,
I do not.
we
that's
watched
a terrible movie.
We watched.
They put
all,
they turn him into a cyborg, right? Doesn't he have a flamethrower on his shoulder? Which I fucking drew in like grade school, and then they did it. And it was like, how do I get my movie money?
We did
I think a lot of kids did.
I know, but still,
I'm trying to think. We
we all split it evenly.
Did we do an episode where we went through all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies last year?
Yes, you
we
did.
And our favorite one was Freddy vs. Jason, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
it's not so much a comment on Freddy versus Jason as it is all the other Freddys.
Yes.
Freddy vs. Jason is fun though.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's very fun.
Did they ever do a follow up to that? Freddy and Jason, they were supposed to be.
It was supposed to be Freddy vs. Jason versus Ash.
Oh, versus Ash. That's
and
right.
the
Yeah.
studios could never
Yeah.
get the licensing right.
Yep.
You know, but I like Freddy vs. Jason. Continue. Let's do this. I
Let-
don't want to derail.
How about the money? Let's talk about the money.
Yeah.
for
So how much
2014.
how much do you think it cost?
55. No. I'm gonna guess.
Do you not have this figure?
You
No.
do not.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this movie cost $110 million.
I'm gonna say $110 million and $1.
Okay.
0. $1. $1.
This movie cost $150 million.
I was the closest. I was the
so-
closest.
You know what? If you round down with Brad's estimate,
Why would you do that?
How much did it make?
I probably made $600 million.
We keep coming up with the same numbers in our brains.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 650 to give Chuck a little breathing room. $650 million.
500.
$500 or 500 million?
500 million.
$500 million.
Didn't think I had to say the million.
It made $493.3 million.
Hey, that's the closest I've ever gotten on one of these.
Yeah, that's good. If you round up,
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Shall we start with rants or raves?
Raves, because they won't take long.
They won't take
Yeah.
long.
All right, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say the blending of different stories, the origins. They were able to work in somehow every iteration of Turtles that came before them. In the original Eastman comics, April is a lab assistant, and they kind of worked that in the whole like Hogashaw thing that she was their protector.
Right.
That's cool.
But they also made her a reporter. Even though they created yet another origin story of like how they became the Turtles and evolved and devolved,
Yeah.
they still put their own spin on it while putting their own, I don't know, they had tried to do something original, and I think it succeeded in capturing everything that came before. I don't know if it made for a good movie, but I appreciated that they tried to do it.
Okay, I like that. That's a good way to look. It's a positive way to look at it. I love it. I think that the snow scene is actually just a very fun action sequence of them sliding down the mountain with the cars behind them, and they're jumping between the cars, and Leo passes out, and they're kind of passing his body back and forth. They slide down.
Yeah.
That was like super imaginative and super fun as an action sequence.
Yeah.
It's a great standalone sequence.
Not what you would have expected in
a teenage mutant. Yeah.
It's funny
On
because
a snow-covered mountain.
Yeah.
It's totally out of their element.
Yeah, and playing with I love playing with the physics of like action sequences, which is why like in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, they do a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
In a way that I think
That's Michael Bay too, isn't it? No, it's Jerry Bruckheimer.
Jerry Bruckheimer, which he worked on The Rock with Michael Bay.
Yeah.
So
they have a very similar film style.
like I love when Jack Sparrow, is it Jack Sparrow? Yeah.
Yes.
He's on top of the big wheel and he's running through the fight scene backwards. Like I was like, I love that.
It's a great visual.
Yeah, and it's a great use of cartoon physics almost,
Yes.
or like enhanced physics, which is why at the end of Fast 5, the safe chase is kind of like that in a much more realistic way.
Sure.
But this snow scene, man, I was just like, that's really, really fun. That's like such a fun way to deal with the idea of the car sliding down, the huge truck, and them. I thought it was awesome. I love that. And we watched it in theaters, and I was like, I really appreciate that part. And last night, I was like excited to see it again.
It's true. He audibly gasped on 3 occasions during that scene.
Wow.
It was cool.
A 3 gasper.
A 3
Yeah.
gasper, yeah.
That was one of my raves. The other one was just the cute little elevator beatboxing scene.
Yes, I really liked that
Right.
part. Actually, I wrote that down too.
Yeah, I'll say, when we saw it in theaters, I remember being like both of these scenes, both hit me then, and then we rewatched it last night, and Chuck said, before we watched it, Chuck said, "Oh, that snow scene." I'm like, "Oh yeah, the snow scene." I'm like, "Wasn't there an elevator thing too?" And so those are the two things
they
that we
stick,
remembered.
It's easy to forget that they're brothers.
Yeah.
In a lot of the treatments that they do.
Yes.
They're more of a group than they are family
Right.
and family dynamics. And that was a great way to like not only bring it back and remind you that they are a family, they are brothers, but they do genuinely like each other as well, even though their dynamic is not always easy.
Yeah. I liked, I thought that the ending where like the whole movie happens and at the end, as like a final tease, they introduce the turtle van. That's the right move.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
cool move for.
But then they didn't have it in the sequel.
It's not in the sequel.
No, they like drove
it's
around in
the dump truck.
dump truck.
Dump truck
Is it
no,
cool?
the garbage truck.
Garbage
The
truck, yeah.
Is it cool though?
Not really.
Oh,
No?
I thought the garbage truck was cool.
I thought the van was cooler.
I thought that sequence with the garbage truck in the second one was pretty good.
Oh, I gotta watch
I
that.
don't remember. I have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that. But
Does it shoot manhole covers?
Mhm.
oh
Okay, I
god,
remember
I
it,
gotta
yeah.
watch that shit. But
That was like classic toy placement.
Yep.
yeah, right. But I thought that when you're dealing with reboots and you're kind of in this culture now where it's like we're gonna take this property that people care about and we're gonna remake it. You have to kind of deal with these. When do we bring in this? How do we introduce this? Like Iron Man balancing something on
Sure.
Captain America's
Yeah,
shield.
yeah,
the first
yeah,
Iron
definitely.
Man movie. That's a really delicate thing, and I think introducing the van at the end is cool. I like that Shredder had a bunch of knives come out, and he would throw them, and they would stick into stuff, and then he
Sure.
had the magnets to pull them
Pull 'em
back,
back.
and do it
Yeah.
again. That's fucking.
I just
excellent.
wish the suit looked
Me-
better.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
But the idea
we'll get
is
to my rants.
how do you take something familiar that we all know and update it and make it interesting to
Right.
surprise people? And
I-
that was very surprising.
I love that, and I haven't even seen that in like another similar movie
Yeah.
where someone has knives and they shoot them and they have magnets and bring them back and they do
Right.
it again. That's awesome. And then my final rave was the movie really looked real. Like when the turtles all break out of the test tubes at that point in time,
Mhm.
the way that it's filmed, it looks like it's real people doing it.
yes,
It-
when the
they did
turtles,
a really good job.
When the turtles are interacting with people, it does look very good.
Like there's a scene where they're all kind of looking down and their
Hmm.
bandanas are hanging and everything, and I'm like, if this is CG, it's crazy. Like maybe they really did hang the bandana. I don't know how they shot it, but the stuff seemed real. Like the gravity felt
they
right.
Yeah.
wore motion capture suits, gray and black motion
That's
capture
what I
suits
figured.
that had giant turtle shells on them. So like the proportion of their head to the shell is the proportion of the actor. And I don't know if they had them wear bandanas though. I'd have to go back and look.
A lot of it looked like the interaction looked very real.
Yeah, they did. They had the only thing that was real that wasn't animated were the colored pads and bandanas. The actors did wear those, so
Okay,
they could
that's
tell
cool.
them apart while they were shooting to render later.
Yeah, they did. It looked really real to me though. Like
Yeah.
it didn't look like a CG thing. And it's funny because we're dealing with like Lion King this summer, which is like incredibly realistic.
Mhm.
But this is 5 years ago, and it was different.
I have a counter rant for that,
What?
but I'll save it when we go.
Okay,
to rants.
okay. My favorite CGI integration in any movie ever are the new Planet of the Apes movies, like War and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen them.
I haven't
I'm
seen them
I'm
either.
not a Planet of the Apes fan.
No one's really like everyone I talk to has not seen these movies. They're like the best of the best to me remakes of any old movies. They don't have anything to do with the original storyline. It's not
Interesting.
similar whatsoever. Like the original is Charlton Heston, blah blah blah.
Do they
goes to different
say "damn dirty ape"?
They do say so. There is one thing that's kind of similar to that. No, they don't say that. They say it's a madhouse. That's what it is.
Oh.
It's not similar at all. The first movie is about James Franco looking for like Alzheimer, like a way to like solve that for his dad, who's played by John Lithgow, and it's fucking tragic. It's
Wait,
great.
aren't the Planet of the Apes remakes? Doesn't the first one have Mark Wahlberg in it?
Nope.
No,
that's
you're thinking of a different series.
remake.
They've done 2 sets of remakes.
That was like
okay.
that was like over.
it was a Tim Burton Planet
that
of the
was
Apes.
that was like
Yeah.
in 2004.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
These came out in the past few years.
Okay.
And Dawn and War, like especially the second one, which is Dawn,
Yes.
is like one of my favorite like big budget movies that's come out in a long time, right?
I'll say I was very skeptical going into just seeing the trailers for the first one, and then we saw a trailer in the theater, and I'm like, okay, well now it makes me not want to burn down the theater, and so it became a big thing that I was jealous that I wanted to do Planet of the Brads, and they beat me to it, and so it's been a running joke. But those are all
great.
good movies.
They're
Great.
incredible.
Yeah.
And like Andy Serkis is Caesar, the main character.
Yeah.
And they
yeah.
open one of the movies with him just like looking up and opening his eyes, and they pan out slow, and it's like you cannot believe that it's not a real thing.
Wow.
Like it's incredible. It's great. But anyway, I think that for 2014, which like I said, 5 years ago, these looked really integrated. It didn't feel like I was watching these CGI characters on top of a background that was really shot, which some movies do still
Right,
look like.
yeah.
They do still look like that occasionally, and this one felt integrated. It's hard to get that like contrast and everything correct.
It is.
And make it feel weighty.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard.
Get a rave.
Well, I only have one.
Sketch.
I literally wrote down as my second rave. I mean, honestly, there's not much else. But for my first rave, it's the counter to what I said for the 1990s. They did have more personality, more individual personalities between the 4 turtles.
Sure. I agree with that.
in a
That's a good.
Yeah.
and I just appreciated that. It was easier to get behind, different motivations, different characters,
Yeah.
and then there's not much else.
I was kind of thinking, like, if they didn't do all the big suits and everyone having all these different accessories, if Donatello just had the backpack and that was like just he
His
had that thing,
Yeah.
I think that could have been cool.
Yeah.
by
Right.
itself. You know what I mean? Almost
absolutely.
like
But
a
then
utility
the
thing.
goggles and the glasses were too much.
all that stuff.
The
yeah.
glasses were incredibly offensive. Like, why do you have to be? Why does the
Very funny.
nerd? Why does the
Yeah.
smart one? Why does the person who likes reading and science have to wear like broken nerd glasses?
I will say he does have those cool goggles where you can see things, and
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. I hear you.
Just from a linguistic standpoint, if they were all raised together, they should all have similar speech patterns,
Correct.
and or accents,
Correct.
and they do not.
They do not.
But it's a movie about Ninja Turtles, so
Right.
I was like, you know what, I'm going to let this one go. I'm not. This isn't going to be the hill I die on.
Michelangelo was almost over the line.
Yeah.
Like almost.
What do you mean?
In terms of like,
A racial stereotype?
yes, yeah. Like the line was there. They went right up to it.
Here's
and
my question.
Did not cross, but they were very close.
Are you sure that he's not supposed to be like a California surfer guy?
positive?
Yeah.
Like,
I
I have
that's
a
the
finger over here.
That's
so-
like the motif, but like that's not what was communicated to me.
Yeah.
I thought
I agree.
maybe in the IMDb trivia they talked about like they originally had him wearing a gold chain, but they decided it was too offensive. But then
Yeah.
in the next movie he does.
He
wear a
does
gold
wear
Yeah.
a gold chain in the next movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to see.
It's only
Yeah.
offensive for the first
Yeah, I
time.
mean, I guess it's interesting.
It's only
Look,
offensive the
just-
first time.
Yeah.
Is that what you just said?
just to
You
have
were off
a,
mic.
a devil's advocate here. Is it just his speech patterns and that's it?
And the way he behaves in terms of like,
I mean, he's skateboards.
no, in his treatment of April, it's playing on stereotypes.
I think in every iteration of the Turtles, like one of them is like, we want to bang April. One of
Yeah.
the Turtles is like that.
At
So
least one.
At
Sure.
least one,
They're
yeah.
You know what I mean?
teenagers.
They're
Well, that and that part of being a teenager is never addressed, which is fine because that's kind of Hollywood. But we don't
Sure.
show kids. But They are teenagers. That's a big part of being a teenager.
Well, they always do kind of allude to like someone wants to bang April at least a little bit.
Sure.
And so I think that
Well, that was the other takeaway when we were watching the cartoon series last night. We were like, she is very busty for a cartoon. That was like clearly put in for the dads who were going to have to watch it.
Yeah.
Or the animators who had to just draw it all day.
Draw it all day. It was like,
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that was my one complaint about the films together was that they didn't
Have sex with April.
accurately represent April's bust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Disappointing.
They
no, I was saying that was odd that they chose like that
Yeah.
animation choice for a children's cartoon.
They were also inconsistent, though, throughout the episode. They started very
I didn't
buck,
pay
though.
that much attention to it.
I
She
did
started very buck,
because by the end I was like, this isn't
Sketch
that
was
crazy
taking
anymore.
notes, conducting measurements.
He was like, "Dear Nickelodeon." By the end, she's an A cup.
Oh boy.
It's from Sketch.
They have a bunch of those letters
You guys
already.
sound so similar.
There's a file.
Do we have any more raves for the 2014 Michael Bay?
Not a forgave. How
I
about,
don't.
how about this? Instead of a rave, I'll give a forgave. I want to forgave Megan Fox for this because I feel like Megan Fox is one of those actors who, and I feel the same way about Kristen Stewart,
Has no talent or ability.
has no emotionality or expression. So she's just like we have to stop Splinter or whatever she says. It's like no,
What's
Megan,
Splinter
you don't-
doing? Why are we stopping him?
Why? What did he do?
He's
like-
dying on the
but-
floor. Oh, she wants to save him.
Stop it.
I
Yeah.
would say like Kristen Stewart. Is it Kristen Stewart? What's her name? From
Yeah, that's right.
From Twilight.
Twilight. She
Bella.
would be like in Jurassic Park. She'd be like, "There's a Tyrannosaurus chasing us." Like that's how she
Right,
would deliver
yeah,
the
yeah.
line. And I feel like Megan Fox is kind of the same thing. I feel like I like Megan Fox shouldn't be an actress, but she might be a good person, and I feel like people will hate her for this movie.
I agree. I think
Yeah.
she should have the wherewithal to like not do the movie.
Yeah, maybe. Then again, if someone's like, what if you're a bad actor and they're like, Mara, do you want to be April O'Neil? You would fucking jump at it.
I would put the wig on and the jumpsuit.
Yeah.
No, I would be like, no, you're fucking crazy. I'm not gonna play April O'Neil.
I would be April O'Neil.
course
in
you
a
would.
Second.
Oh,
In a
really?
second.
Like, does that surprise anybody?
It's like, oh, we gotta stop Splinter.
Brad, are you remotely surprised
I'm
by any of that?
I like the idea that they're like, we need a redheaded actress to like somebody who's a talented actress and also has red hair to play April O'Neil. Let's go to the Mara household and they walk in and they're like, that's the one we want. He looks like he's from Denmark. We'll take him.
My redheaded actress wife. Totally okay with me playing April O'Neil.
She's like in the backyard gardening.
Yeah.
And you're
It's my big break.
Yep.
Maybe they'll cast her as Casey Jones.
Oh, maybe.
There you go.
Well,
Would have
it's
been better than Stephen
A
Amell.
true role
It's
reversal.
just how do you say no? That's one time. Sometimes I
It's the
think
21st
about
century. We can gender bend this thing.
a lot of people get upset with like actors or actresses, whatever it is, for taking these roles and doing poorly or whatever. But sometimes I think about the idea of being in a position where people really like you for whatever reason. Like Megan Fox obviously had this kind of, rise to stardom
Sure.
based on her appearance and stuff. And if people are offering her these positions, it's got to be hard to say no. And I feel bad. I feel guilty if people are like, that movie was bad. Fuck Megan Fox. I'm like, I don't know.
I think the movie was objectively bad.
Me too.
And had very little to do with her, even though she's
too.
not
Yeah, I agree with that.
very good in it.
I agree.
But I feel like as an actor, as a human being, you have a
should
good
have the
sense
wherewithal.
of yourself and the
Yeah.
wherewithal to say, this is not going to work out for me.
But what if they
interesting.
then throw another $1 million at you?
Well,
Like,
I've already got the Transformer money at
Oh,
that
okay, then
point.
you're
It's
You know
less
what I
about
mean?
that
It's
and more like this. I'll put it this way. Let's say you're a musician. We were both musicians. If you like wrote a song that you thought was like not great and that became your biggest song and people wanted more songs like that, wouldn't you start to think like, oh, people like this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I worry about when Megan Fox is like, I'm trying to act. How is it? And they're like, the movie made $500 million. And you're
Right.
like, okay, cool. And someone else wants to hire you again. You're like,
right.
okay, I guess I'll keep doing this. Don't you feel like that could happen?
yes,
Mhm.
I do.
Yeah.
I feel like
agree.
there's probably musicians and comics, like comedians.
Well, I mean,
who-
it's the cast of Star Trek. Any actor who's ever appeared in Star Trek, like the fans love it. It destroys your career. You hate it for a while, then you learn to embrace it and give them more of it.
Interesting. I just think that with comedians, musicians, it makes sense to me if you were like, here's my heart, and you write a song, and everyone's like, we don't give a shit about your heart. And then you write like a dumb thing or you perform
Sure.
a dumb joke and people really like it, and you say, like,
Do
well, I guess
that.
this is the business.
Yeah.
And you start doing it. And like maybe Megan Fox has that relationship with acting.
I think she's far enough into her career to have the wherewithal to say, I've done that enough.
Maybe.
I will agree to disagree on that one.
I don't know what she's done recently, honestly.
She's still working and
Yeah.
she's starting to do more art house stuff.
Like
Good.
she was in This Is 40. with Leslie Mann.
Oh, yes,
and I thought she was like appropriate in that.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like,
You know what I mean?
yes, like she has, like her range was perfect for that.
Yeah.
The
maybe
type
that's right.
of the type of actor that she is.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, I love Seth Rogen. I think Seth Rogen is awesome. And they were like, you think he's a good actor? I'm like, I think he's good at playing himself on screen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
he's not playing King Lear. I think that would
Right.
probably be bad. But if he's
I
gonna,
would love to
but like if
trademark
Well, a great
geeking out.
if he's
there
gonna
we
be
go.
himself and this is the end, he's great at it.
Yes.
He's
So
so
a great
funny.
example of that is like he should have had the wherewithal, even though he loved it. If you want to direct it, fine. He should not have done Green Hornet.
I actually like. Green
I
Hornet.
love Green Hornet, but I recognize why people hate it.
Me too.
And
Well,
I
Kano
think
couldn't speak English. You know that guy couldn't speak English.
Exactly.
I never saw it.
Exactly. And
So
he should have had the wherewithal to say, "This is beloved."
In
People are like,
yes.
there's a group of people who are not going to appreciate this. I feel passionately about it. Like,
in his defense, so Green Hornet was essentially like, I really think that the problem with Green Hornet was way more that a studio misjudged people's interest in it. Just
absolutely,
just
absolutely.
like Black Rain, was it Lone Ranger?
Yes.
Lone Ranger was. I thought that was very fun movie. It was
Yep.
just like Pirates of the Caribbean, but a cowboy movie.
Yep.
Super fun. And the reason it did bad is because everyone's like, I don't give a shit about the Lone Ranger.
It's 20 years too late.
So Green Hornet is really interesting because Seth Rogen and his writing partner Evan Goldberg in their career, they've done like, Superbad, which is like teen comedy. Then they do like Christmas movie, this movie, and they've done a lot of.
They did 50-50.
They did
Right,
50-50,
yeah.
like serious like dramedy, and they've kind of successfully done all these different versions of different genres. So when they're like superhero movie, you guys get to do this. I think it almost like flies that Seth Rogen could play a superhero if the character was right, and I really think it has more to do with the fact that it was like. Because he talks about it openly. He's like, we wanted to do all these different things, and the studio basically said no to 90% of what we were going to do.
Yep.
And there's no interest in the character in terms of people being like, I want to see Seth Rogen play this
Right.
character or a new version of it. So I think that there's misdirects there for other reasons. But if you have Chris Pratt playing one of the lead superheroes, you can have Seth Rogen, I think.
Yeah.
Because Chris Pratt is himself.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's
But
fair.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you mean. And maybe you're right. Maybe Megan Fox should be like, I don't have a ton of range, but I can be Megan Fox.
Right.
So I'll be in movies like This Is 40,
Right.
where I'm
Right.
the hot, nice girl who people think is a dick, and then I'm actually nice or whatever it is, Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
But April O'Neil might be that. That's the other thing.
But she's clearly not because we've had the character for 30 years
she
at this
just
point.
can't be that
Right.
dramatic. She
Yeah.
can't be like terrified and this, and I'm emotional. She just can't do that.
There's something, the April O'Neil character in itself, there's something like wide-eyed and
Sure.
just excitable about what is happening. And
Yeah,
she's
she's
an
down with the
adrenaline
turtles.
junkie to be to be part of the story.
And let's
Right.
just put this out there. All the times the turtles are just like April or titties or butt, I want to bang her and stuff. April is never like, I'm not going to bang turtles. She never says that. She's always just like.
That is true. She
she's
never
just like, hey
says
guys.
that.
She's like, I'll sleep over tonight. We'll see.
Of course,
like,
that's
"What?"
the takeaway for Chuck.
Don't you
That's
think-
just like,
Isn't that interesting?
Is that a rant
Chuck
or a
is,
rave?
Chuck is in the back of his mind. Chuck is like, there's hope for
Yeah,
me.
she's like, she's not saying no.
There's like, but there is a thing where it's like at some point.
She's having slumber parties
think-
with him in the sewers,
don't you think-
hanging out, eating
right.
pizza.
Don't you think she would be like, listen, like, we're not gonna have sex. Like,
No.
we're not gonna have a romantic relationship. You guys are turtles, and I'm
That's
a
why
human
she keeps
being.
Casey Jones around.
Well, I mean, sure. That's because she needs
Because there's
some-
no attraction
she
there
needs
either.
some normal on the side, but
Yeah.
But I think that basically she should at some point be like, listen, we're not gonna have a romantic relationship. I'm not gonna have a relationship with turtles. I don't know what your dicks are like.
Also, I'm not going to have a relationship with teenagers.
Oh yeah, that's a good point too.
Hold on,
That's
hold
a good
on.
point too.
What if they're 19?
Thank you, Brad. Thank
were not
you
19.
very much for
They might be 19, and the girl who played April O'Neil in the 1991 Ninja Turtles
Judith
movie,
Hogue.
she was like 22.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
19, 22.
I think it was established in that film that they were like 15.
15. Yeah, they said 15. They said multiple times. 15 years
15,
ago, the ooze fell on him.
Yep.
Well, maybe they were 4 before that.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think that, like April in the 90 movie was oddly into
What
them
if
in a way
Splinter-
that she shouldn't have been.
What if Splinter gave her permission to marry them?
To
All
marry,
4 of them?
What if they went to Kentucky?
All right, guys, this is getting weird.
by the way,
Why Kentucky? Why are you gonna
Where
throw?
can they- okay, Mexico.
No, that's
Where can you marry a
that's
15-year-old turtle?
Oh, we're talking about age.
Slippery slope.
Are we? Wait, we're already into big questions.
No, we're yeah, I know, right?
By the way, 2014 Ninja Turtles passes the Bechdel test. 1990 Ninja Turtles
does not.
Did not.
What is
Wow.
Did not pass the Bechdel
1990 no, 2014 yes.
What is
Wow.
Bechdel test, two women who have names have a conversation about something that isn't a man.
Yes.
And those are the three rules.
Whoopi Goldberg with
Yep.
her-
Oh,
Yeah, about the
right.
job. And also
I
Abby
wrote that
Elliott.
in my notes. Whoopi Goldberg is in
her
this.
roommate.
Abby Elliott, yeah.
Yeah, Abby Elliott.
Oh yeah, and also, I mean, well, this movie is about April O'Neil.
Right.
You
It
know?
is.
So the original movie is really like
About
the
the
turtles
turtles.
are the protagonists. So it makes sense that wouldn't pass
Yeah.
it. But
April's just our in on that one.
yeah, Abby Elliott, she's the roommate in this.
Yes.
Beautiful. I love Abby Elliott.
So my rants.
Thank you, Brad.
They established at the beginning, like, oh, this sign means family. This symbol that's left behind at the scene of the vigilante
What
attack.
does it mean, Brad?
Family means no one gets left behind. It's and it never really, like, the sign itself never comes back. Family is established
Well,
as an
it's
important
on
thing.
Leonardo's.
But it's
bandana.
They're
but
all
it's-
wearing it
it's-
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never, I guess, more prominently
Yeah,
displayed.
yeah.
Gotcha.
It's never
Yeah, yeah,
highlighted
yeah.
again.
Is your rants?
Yeah, rants. The relationship between Will Arnett and Megan Fox, I thought was like not only
Lecherous.
creepy, yeah,
Will
creepy and
Arnett,
lecherous,
Will Arnett is creepy, written right there.
yeah, but also like unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even believe that he was attracted to her, even with like the one male gaze shot of
Yeah.
her behind.
Counter rant.
Vern is
Okay.
creepy.
Counter rant. Like,
Yeah.
isn't there a problem with like, I don't know. I know that you're not supposed to be creepy, but like, if Will Arnett's in this movie and Megan Fox is the girl he drives around all the time, it's hard to believably have him to be uninterested in her, right?
Yeah, but
Sure.
they've been hanging out, like they've been working together for so, I don't know. I didn't buy it. Maybe with a different guy.
I think
The
you're-
advice he gives her is basically to like keep wearing like revealing clothing and jump around on trampolines. Like
Yeah.
that's what you're good at. Do that.
Yeah.
Be thankful that
I-
you're able to do that.
I feel like he doesn't have
and he
a-
films it. That's creepy.
I feel like he doesn't have a character outside. I'm attracted to Megan Fox in this movie.
He doesn't.
No,
They give him
yeah,
one in
I
the
agree.
sequel.
Good.
And
Is
it's
it the
not-
eagle or the falcon?
The eagle, I think. No,
eagle.
maybe it is the falcon.
The falcon. I think
Yeah.
it's the falcon.
Yeah, in the sequel,
Vern the Falcon.
they explain away the events of the first movie by saying that Vern
Did everything.
did everything,
What do you mean?
so that like
he
they
gets
don't
shot.
reveal who the
Yeah.
turtles
Oh,
are.
okay.
So Vern
He takes credit for
is
everything.
like
You
the
You gotta
public
watch
hero.
This fucking movie.
Yeah.
When are
Yeah,
you
you-
gonna watch it?
you do.
What are you doing tonight?
I have a show.
I
And
think
then-
you know. I think you know what you're doing
9:30,
tonight.
and then I'm going to stop at Antonio's and get some pizza.
And then
Oh
you're
my
gonna watch
god,
Turtles
it's a
too.
perfect turtle
It
night.
is. Yes.
Googling what state
absolutely.
allows you to marry a teenage turtle.
We should watch it. Gina's at a concert. I got nothing.
Perfect. Another rant. I didn't know that April was a lab assistant originally. My rant coming out of the film in 2014 and last night was April creating the turtles. I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
And then the character design, which we've discussed,
Mhm.
awful length.
Mhm.
So those are my rants.
You want to hear a cute story about the new one?
Of course.
This is just a really cute thing. I'll give it to her. So when my house fire happened, I had this huge collection of Steelbook Blu-rays, like all these like rare Blu-rays, some of them from Germany and stuff like that, and they all got destroyed, and they were all being cleaned by this company called PureClean. And I was really hopeful that they would be all set, and I went to go pick them up one day, and they were all just like burned and rusted and fucked up because of the fire.
Right.
And I was really sad. And the next day, I had a present on my desk, and it was from Gina, and I opened it, and it was the steelbook of the new Ninja Turtles movie. And
Oh, wow.
And she knew that I didn't like the first one that
Right.
much. And I was like, I'm like, Gina went and bought this for me because she feels bad. But I'm like, I feel guilty now because I don't
Right.
really like these movies that much. And she left me a note, and she was like, I know this isn't a movie that
Right,
you'd
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but I went to Best Buy, and this is the only one that they had that I thought that you might even have a slight interest in. Like, we'll start rebuilding your collection. I thought that was very sweet of her.
Yeah,
Especially that
That's
she
very
knew that I
touching.
didn't love it.
Right.
Even though she's like, I did my best. That's cute.
Yeah.
Very nice. I never watched it, but I still have it on my shelf.
It's a gesture.
Yeah.
I'll just go with that. That was not a rant, but that was touching.
that was just a
no,
cute
just
story.
touching story. Yeah.
I'll go Shredder in the Foot. What the fuck? The Foot are just basically hired mercenaries. There's nothing intimidating about them.
Yeah.
And they're hapless.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
thought of another rant.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be a bottomless rant pit.
It is.
The Ninja Turtles
Yeah.
are teenagers.
Yes.
They are.
And they kill a lot of
They
people
do.
and show zero remorse.
Yeah.
I'm like maybe in Out of the Shadows, it's like them coming to grips with their PTSD.
No,
of
it's
like,
not. I don't mean to spoil it for you, but no, it's not.
No, there's no point in watching it
The
tonight.
simple answer here is that they play a lot of video games. Makes them very
Oh,
violent.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that'll
But
do
that
it.
is actually very true to the original Eastman
Right,
comics.
right.
Yeah.
But
Like they just murder like 300 ninjas.
right,
on the
and I know in the 2D Turtles,
Yeah.
which is what I watched, the foot soldiers were robots.
Yes.
So you
That's how they
could
kinda-
cut them in half.
Yes.
Yeah, we watched
And,
that last night, and
we did.
we found out because Leonardo just cut through the gut of one of them,
Without-
and was like, "Hey
without
guys, they're
knowing.
robots."
It's like, what did you?
Oh, thank God, Leonardo! We almost had to bring you in.
It's like the scene in the first Avengers where Thor throws his hammer at Captain America. He didn't know
Yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah.
the shield was going to stop it. He was
Right.
trying to murder
Captain America.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
funny.
totally.
But yeah, I realized that last night where I'm like, they're killing so many.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
yeah. And I'll just finish my rant with Shredder in the foot that Shredder looks like Tony Stark's cocaine, heroin-induced fever dream nightmare Iron Man armor, and
Wow,
it's just
yeah,
and
it's almost too much.
it
Yeah.
is too much.
He's-
It's
it is
just
too much.
too much.
He is wearing the Iron Throne from Game
Yeah,
of
he
Thrones.
basically is.
Yes, he
That is
is.
exactly what
Brad
it
is
is.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Here's so can I have a rant? So my first rant was that they're wicked ugly. I already
Yeah.
talked about that. This is a rant and a question. Like Shredder, the guy was so hidden in this movie. Like
Right, yeah,
it
yeah.
hit his face as if there would be some kind of reveal.
Yeah.
Right? But what was the deal with that? They just and then they only show. There's two things. One, they only show him in shadow, and he's like super secretive, and then he just shows up in the costume. It never shows him putting it on. And then that main character guy, the
Yeah,
main villain
yeah.
guy, they never show him and Shredder at the same time.
Right.
Was he Shredder? Was there something like I don't understand what was going on.
When I originally saw the movie, I thought that's the direction they were going.
Right.
On. This is a
Yeah.
new take on Shredder. But
He's
then
the guy.
I thought at one
When the Shredder
explains
is
it
first
to
introduced,
April.
he's shrouded, and then they just give you a full shot of him,
Mhm.
and he's like an
Yeah.
older bald dude,
Yeah.
and he doesn't seem to be hideous or anything.
and I'll say this.
And it was a terrible reveal
Yes.
contrasted with the 1990. That was like when Shredder like walks in, when he first walks in, you see the helmet and the cape, and
Yeah,
they pull the cape back and the blades, and you see his arm. That was a fucking awesome reveal. And this
Yeah.
one was just like,
I don't know. I
he's
almost
just a dude.
I almost feel like there was something missing. The link between the Shredder that fights them and the old guy.
It
and,
does
and
feel like something was cut.
yeah, it feels like there was like I even think it could have been that like they insinuated that the main guy, the voice guy, the
Right.
regular guy, was like Shredder. I almost
Right, yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that was like hinted at. I will say we downloaded a legal copy of this movie last night to watch it, so they didn't have any subtitles.
I'll cut that out of the
so
pod.
there was no subtitles
Okay,
during
I
the
won't-
part where
I
that
won't
guy
cut it.
talks.
I won't
and
cut it.
I don't know what he says.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not like, hey, you're the Shredder.
Yeah, I don't think he said that.
No, I'm now that
I
I'm
don't
thinking
remember
about
what
it,
he
he
said,
speaks
though.
in English in the movie I watched.
No.
Yes.
I watched it like last week, and it did not leave enough of an
So that
impression
guy,
on me.
so the what do you want to call the main
It's
guy?
Eric Sachs.
Sachs.
is the
Sachs.
character
Eric
name,
Sachs.
because it's an anglicized version of Oroku Saki.
Yeah.
Sachs brings him in
Yeah.
to this room and says, "Here's your armor," and the guy's like,
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, "What the?"
Sounds like the master from
No,
the.
I'm pretty
Wait,
sure
hold
in
on,
the
he
version I watched, he's speaking English in just a very
it was
deep, low voice.
It was definitely not English when we watched it last night.
Maybe
who
when
knows
we
what you downloaded?
Maybe when we
Well, the rest of
we
the movie
saw a
was
release,
By the way, the rest of the
they
movie
had
was also in
ADR'd
another
over it or
language.
something.
No, was it just whenever he spoke, it was in a different language?
I think he only
Because that's happened to me when I've
I
like
think
watched movies on YouTube. Like they've mashed up different regions.
I think the only time he speaks is that part. Does he speak during the fights?
Yes.
Does he?
I don't
yes.
think so.
He speaks perfect English.
He does not speak during the fights.
Yes, he does.
You're a maniac.
I'll cue
You're
it
a
up.
maniac.
I will cue it up
Dude,
when we're
cue it
done.
up.
Well, I can't
He
because
said-
we're recording.
He
But
said,
I'll like,
I think he said, "Tonight I dine on turtle soup."
Yeah, he said that once.
yep,
I
he did.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I think
Maybe the suit's translating for him. I don't know.
I don't know.
It was a
But
fancy
he
suit.
does speak English.
Does he speak? I don't.
I do remember him speaking English.
He does.
I don't think
I don't
not-
remember what he says, but I remember
It's
him
not
speaking
another
English.
language. He
I'll say this.
speaks
I don't
English.
remember him speaking at all during the fights. And in the one scene where he speaks as like a guy without a suit on, it's not English in my version. And I don't think he says anything during the fights because he doesn't really interact with them.
He does.
Well, I'll answer your bigger question. Whatever he does say is
It's forgettable. Yeah. It's completely forgettable.
It's not, hey,
Yeah.
I'm just pretending
Yeah.
to be the Shredder
Yeah.
so that you can
You
be the
can be
Shredder
that.
letter.
I want to do my
Shredder
counter
letter.
rant to your the turtles look great. The turtles do look great when there's another
yeah.
human in screen. When it's just the turtles.
Can I amend that? It's not. They don't look great.
Well, yes,
they look integrated.
They look integrated.
realistically
yes.
integrated.
Yeah. when April's not there or another human's not there, it looks like you're watching a badly rendered video game sequence because it's entirely like the backgrounds are computers. Like there's nothing real. You can tell it was just done in a computer very quickly.
I agree. When it's a shot of them like dealing with each other,
or like when they go down
especially.
into the lair and they all get stuck in the drain as they're coming into the lair.
When they're farting,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's I mean, it looks
like a
poorly rendered, like they didn't finish doing it, and the backgrounds have like this weird haze over it. And so whenever you can tell that they actually did have that set, and they took the time to map it and render it, but they shouldn't have because it just looked cheap. And I add that up too. They had to like reshoot probably 40% of the movie.
Or maybe they just felt like that was fine because it was all computer generated in that one scene.
Yeah, and it's like those when it was in those sequences, the movie borderline made me sick because the camera angles were so unnatural.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah,
I'll flip it a little bit because it's a rant for me, and it's the only rant that you guys haven't talked about. While the turtles looked better when they were on stage with actual people, the actors, the human actors, never acted well to the turtles.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, you know how Who Framed Roger Rabbit is like historically, like they worked so hard on doing
That's
it.
my note.
Yeah.
That is my note.
Like he learned how to like relax his pupils so that he could look like he's looking at someone close to him.
Yeah.
In this, they were always like a little bit off and weird.
Which is bonkers because there was a human being in a suit there.
And it stood out for me for two reasons. Because in the second one, I thought they improved.
Yeah.
They actually interacted better with the turtles and the turtles and vice versa.
That is so
and
funny.
I couldn't even blame like Megan Fox and Michael Bay because I thought, we talked about this in Transformers, Megan Fox's character acted well with Bumblebee.
A
fake, another fake character. So like, I don't know where the separation was in this movie.
I don't know.
But it was clear. It was like watching two scenes stitched together.
Maybe it's the fact that like if I'm talking to Mara and you're shooting it and I'm looking at his eyes and then you replace him with this giant mass of a thing, it looks unnatural when I'm just looking at his face like a human being.
I think what it was that the actors in the suits were proportional to the suit. But when they rendered them, they gave them different body types and sizes. So, like, if you're looking at me and then they made Raph like 7 feet tall, well, now like she's making eye contact with him, but now she's like staring like at his chest, which is maybe now like where his head was is like his shoulder.
That's kind of what I mean, yeah.
And it's just like
I'd have to rewatch it again, and I won't because I don't want to.
I was gonna say, why would you do that?
I even
Episode
feel like
100.
we
do the same discussion.
This podcast is over at 99.
Word for word, but everyone switches roles.
Oh my God.
I even feel like the dialogue, like the timing or something of it, like people weren't responding correctly. Like the turtles would say something, and then April would say something just a little off, like a little too late,
a little uncanny,
or the inflection would be, it just didn't. And again, well, Bumblebee never talked though, but they were able to. They were able to talk. They were really able to sell it. Then
it's hard. Yeah.
Anymore? I mean, I know we can rant for like
I'm out
ever.
of rants.
I know. We can rant
But should we move on to any big questions we have on any of them?
My other rants, just real quick. I wrote the characters sucked and were annoying. Like they were. They really were. Like Michelangelo was annoying. Like he was annoying.
Michelangelo was
like his
the most
voice
annoying.
was too high. Everything about it was annoying. And then the story was dumb. You know what I mean? Like it was not a good story.
It wasn't. There was no plot.
It was just very. I think the biggest thing that fell apart for me was the relationship between Sax, the guy who seemed to play Shredder, and the actual Shredder that fought. That seemed like three different people, and I didn't understand their relationship.
Okay.
Right? Like Shredder was weird. Wasn't there something so weird that it was like he never put on the armor, he just showed up, he didn't say anything. Everything was weird. Did you feel that way?
Yeah,
Did you think of that guy?
I'll say when we saw it in the theaters, I was like, oh, okay, this character actor, whose name eludes me, is going to end up being Shredder, and that's going to be the big twist. And then it was never revealed.
But didn't you feel like the guy that was in Shadow and the Shredder, just they couldn't have been the same person?
Yeah.
It's weird. It feels like that. I don't know what it is. And you can tell that like with big budget movies, sometimes they can be like, yeah, just shoot with this guy. He has a mask on. He doesn't have to talk. It's fine. But like in some movies, like Face Off, like Nicolas Cage and John Travolta kind of switch faces, obviously, but they have specific walks and mannerisms and ways they talk to make you feel like this person is now inhabiting.
That was the other thing.
And it's like the relationship between Shredder and anybody They didn't
Sure.
do any of that
Okay.
work.
Yeah.
You know what I
and
mean?
just,
Yeah.
like Shredder
He's
was
just like-
always
he's like a
kind of like
robot.
hunched over.
At the end, if
It was
they
bizarre.
cut off his head and they looked and it was a robot, that wouldn't have
I
surprised
was
me.
100%
Right?
ready for that
Yeah.
after he fell
Right?
off the building.
Yeah.
That's how he felt. He felt like a robot.
Yep.
Yeah,
And in the
weird.
sequel, Shredder's an entirely different person. They
He's
like
a different
de-age
actor.
him. It's a different actor.
I didn't like the design of Splinter, by the way.
Oh,
Like, I'm okay with. I'm okay with
I
changing
did
him.
not like.
I thought it
yeah.
was terrible.
And also voiced by Tony Shalhoub, which made
Yes.
no sense to me.
He was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tony Shalhoub was Splinter, and it made no
Wow.
sense.
I also hated Johnny. I love Johnny Knoxville. Why is he Leonardo?
I don't know.
know.
And he's not
That's
in the
fucking
He's
sequel.
not in the
crazy.
second one.
He's
He's
not
only
in
in
the
the
fucking
first one.
crazy.
He should have been Michelangelo.
He should have been
Yeah.
Michelangelo.
Yeah.
I
Or
guess.
Raph.
I
Like, he
guess.
could have been Raph,
But like
but not
Johnny Knoxville
Leonardo.
kind of isn't one of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
He could have been Michelangelo if Michelangelo did some crazy stunts and laughed a lot.
Right.
Sure.
That could have been fun.
Yeah.
That would be a better Michelangelo.
I agree.
I appreciate that.
Yep. And Tony Shalhoub and Johnny Knoxville are not voices in the sequel.
Why would Johnny Knoxville be the leader? It's so bizarre. He's the leader of the Jackass gang.
Right.
That's
So,
why.
therefore-
But he's like hitting people in
All
the
right,
crotch with cartoon fists.
What if
What-
each of them was voiced by a
There
different
you
member
go.
of the Jackass
There's
gang?
a Steve-O
Yeah.
is one of them,
Yeah,
Bam is
yeah.
one of them, and Wee Man is
Oh
one
my
of them.
God.
It's like what should we do to the shredder? It's like we're gonna wait till he falls asleep.
And you know what? I would believe that. That would be the teenage
Oh my
aspect of them.
God.
We're gonna bring him to Iceland. That's not
The
funny.
sh-
He's
the
just gonna
shred-
be confused.
The Shredder has to get married.
Wow.
This Bebop and Rocksteady are played by the Dudesons.
No one knows the dude.
I don't care. It's funny for me.
Oh my God.
Big questions.
Yes, big questions. Thank you, Brad. Keep it moving.
For honestly,
And also grind it to a halt before that.
I don't know. Like to me, I guess the big question is, who greenlit this? No.
Yeah.
It's
seriously.
for me. It's I guess I don't know if it's a big question so much as a big statement. Chuck Klosterman, the author and bon vivant, it's not a word, has a theory that everyone's favorite Weezer album is the Weezer album that came out closest to your junior year of high school.
Okay.
And to me,
That's
it's
cool.
like there
Yeah.
are so
That's
many
fun.
different versions of the
Interesting.
Turtles
Yeah.
that everyone has their favorite version of the Turtles.
Right. A
The-
great philosopher said that. His name was Justin Mara.
Yes. The
Thank you.
the kids who
He must
watched
be an interesting fellow.
the kids who watched this in 1990, I think were the same target for the 2014 movie.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
like 2014, we came out saying, "Oh, it's a kids movie," but really, with all the killing, is it really a kids movie,
Well, we
or has the definition of what a kids movie is and can be, has that changed
well
in the intervening
Mm-hmm.
24 years between these two films?
That's a great point. I was still teaching high school.
Yeah.
When this came out, and to an advisee, my advisees hated this movie.
Right.
Like hated it.
Right.
They were like, this is, I don't know who the target demographic is. We talked about it.
yeah.
And they were like, it's not us.
Hey, Mr. Mara, I'm having some trouble in
Yeah.
algebra. What should I do? All right. Well, I'm happy to answer that. But first,
We're going to talk about the Ninja Turtle movies.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not a teacher anymore. I'll be the first one to admit.
Yeah.
So my question is about this.
Yes, I mean, I think that's
Right.
true, but I
think
it didn't work.
there's a lot of
expanding on what you
nostalgia.
said.
Yeah.
So we have been talking recently about the new Lion King movie.
Mhm.
The new Lion King movie is
I
getting
haven't seen it yet.
it's getting 100% people saying like, yeah, it looks like it's real, but all the character is gone. All the
Right.
charm is gone. All the charisma
Their
is
eyes
gone.
don't move in a way that you want them to. They
Well,
look. They just look like
Everything's turned into a real thing.
right.
So outside
Disney
of
should have just made an Animal Kingdom documentary.
outside of them talking, like like in the
Right.
original Lion King, like just can't wait to be king, and they're hopping on
Yeah.
ostriches. Nothing like that happens in these movies. It's all like more reality based, where they're just walking and singing the song, And all of this that's kind of changed. Even Can You Feel the Love Tonight happens during the day. They're just hanging out. It's a
that
real
makes no sense.
It's a real crime. But what this movie this movie this week became the highest grossing animated film of all time, Lion King,
Wow.
Lion
beating
King?
out Frozen. Okay, very strange, right?
Yeah, I'm shocked.
But I
Okay.
mean, to say it's animated is kind of.
It's 100% computer animated.
I know.
They didn't shoot anything real except for one sunset. So here's my question though. Do these projects, Lion King, Ninja Turtles, are they meant to be movies in the traditional way that we know movies to be, know films to be, or are they just saying we own a property, We know that a certain amount of people will come see this property if we put out a new chapter of it.
It made $500 million.
We know this will never be someone's favorite movie. People will not go back to watch it. But as an event in the summer, they'll say, I used to love Lion King. I guess we'll see what they did with this new one.
Yeah.
Is it just an event as opposed to a film? And is the Ninja Turtles 2014 remake just an event for people who already like the Turtles?
I would say yes and yes.
And that kind of goes along with like with the Michael Bay movies and like Transformers and Ninja Turtles. Acting seems to have become standing still and giving exposition between action sequences. Even the Marvel movies kind of like play out. Some of like the lesser Marvel movies. It's like exposition, action sequence, exposition, action
Captain
sequence.
Marvel.
Yeah. It was like a lot of exposition against a green screen and then computer action sequence. Like, I think you're right. Like, it's a tentpole thing that people are going to talk about and revisit, and we'll just keep remaking it.
It's just to say how much money can we make in the movie theater and on DVD eventually,
or in opening weekend,
but really
not even in the theater.
Right, but just really, it's just like, hey, like you guys like this, let's see another version of this, and that's what it is. It's almost like they're looking at it on a longer timeline as like a TV show, and this is the next episode.
Yeah.
Where there are people out there like Christopher Nolan, or even a lot of the people who make the Marvel movies, in terms of like Iron Man and all those characters, kind of being like, no, we want to make someone's new favorite movie, or a new best version of this, or a new definitive version of like the Joker, whatever. But I do think some of these movies are made with, this is how much it'll cost and this is how much it'll make.
Absolutely.
Let's attract the people who already like this, and that's it. That's all we want to do.
Yeah.
Should
like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Perhaps.
Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens when it finally comes out.
I honestly love Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I love him. I think that if someone can like take that character and make it into like a wacky cartoonish villain, he can do it. But you got to think that this is just Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a bum out.
I have an actual big question.
Can we come up with a term for what a movie like that is? Because like some movies like Dark Knight are not that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then some movies like Alvin and the Chipmunks, Lion King,
Absolutely
Turtles are that. What is that?
Cash grabs.
No. It's like it has to be a movie that doesn't exist to have its own identity. And
Long-time listeners, right in.
Yeah, and it's just
a movie that is specifically a cash grab for the sake of being a cash grab.
Well, it's not going to have its own identity. It's just based on the pre-existence of the popularity of the thing it's talking. It's focused on.
Let us know. Right into the show, and we'll share it with Chuck and Brett.
Well, you know what? It should be the word like reboot, but with instead of it's like something that means like just for cash or just for now.
Okay.
I'll think about it.
Okay. Yeah. In the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie, what was Shredder's end game? What was his plan? So like the Turtles don't show up. What is his end game? To steal every combination TV, DVD player in New York and steal all the kids?
He wants to be a crime boss, I guess, with his little island of lost boys and just continue to make money on stolen electronics.
Is it
much like Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious 1?
Is it a prequel to Fight Club? Where he's assembling these lost souls, these men who don't know what to do with themselves, and his Shredder
name is Hiroko Saki, and I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Is he going to give them little missions like, hey, lost boy, hey, Danny, go out and get in a fight. Hey, Danny, go out and destroy some corporate art. Yeah. Is he going to kiss Danny's hand at some point?
Oh, yeah, the kiss.
Like, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what his end game is. Project Mayhem, the 1990 version, I guess.
And does ninja training regimens usually include drinking junk food and lots of cigars?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, cigarettes. Or do you want menthol?
You know what?
Menthol or...
That is Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, there we go.
You know what I appreciate about that part? It's so reminiscent of Pinocchio.
Yeah, it was. That's exactly what I thought.
Which I think if they did that on purpose, awesome. Yeah. That's great. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, especially with that kid just chewing on the cigar. I was like, that is exactly that.
Yeah.
That dick from.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know what his end game was.
Okay.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I agree though with Chuck. I think it was just like crime because they said how there was a wave of crime in Japan
of
and
New
then
York.
that was squashed, and I think he was just reviving it here in America.
Sure.
Man.
Wow.
I came up with one term, but it's not for what we thought. It's if you remake a movie that stars a woman and it stars a man in its place, like a gender swap, you can call it a he-boot.
I guess then the Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters.
She-boot. Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'll
use it. I'd use it. Yeah.
All right, keep going. Sorry.
Totally irrelevant to the earlier question you asked, but sure, a he-boot and a she-boot.
What about if it's a reboot, but it stars
Is it Amiibo?
A Chuck boot, amiibo.
What about all right? What if it was like analog, like it's and now it's going to be digital, and like you're going to use the internet? Yes. All right, we've gone off the rails.
We really have.
If France green lights it, a weeboo.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
All right, so
God damn it, Chuck!
it's Blues
Stop
Brothers.
it! Stop it,
Blues Brothers,
Chuck!
but it takes place on the sea.
Uh-oh.
It's a sea boot.
Oh,
Ooh, you know what? If you made an audio version here in the tree cave. You could do that. That'd be cool.
A tree boot?
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Oh my god! Does anyone have any actual big questions for
All right.
these properties?
I got a big question.
Okay.
Okay, why are the turtles named after Italian artists?
Shouldn't they be named after Japanese artists?
Japanese artists.
Yeah.
And follow-up question, is it just because they are painted box turtles that they're named after these artists?
I
It's
think-
like a little play.
My little take on it is just the idea that if Splinter is like, oh, I appreciate these artists and I wanted to name you after my Brown famous artist, I think that can just exist as a fun element to the story to diversify the character as someone who appreciates all different cultures and stuff like that. I think that's fun.
Yeah, and
Oh, I have no problem with it. That's why
Yeah.
it's not a rant.
That's my guess.
It's just because I've watched all the
yeah.
all the ones
Yeah.
and they're all so like about Japan
Yes.
and the culture. And then here's my
Right.
son
Yeah, yeah,
Leonardo.
yeah. Right.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. Big questions. That's the Shredder one is really good. Yeah, I mean, my biggest question is the what was the deal with the bad guy in 2014's Turtle? Like I said, you know, what's the relationship between Robot Shredder and these other two characters? And I guess like, I guess I want to, you know, I don't know. I guess I don't have another one that's not really something we already kind of explored.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just an interesting choice to make this soulless reboot of this movie, when really you can really make a rich like tapestry of films with the
absolutely.
universe.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's a bum out.
You could.
It's a bum out.
It is.
So I don't know. Anything else for you?
it's weird because like I know it's been said a billion times, but like ninjas are more about blending in and
Yes.
stealth and less about combat.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess, when are you going to fix that, Eastman?
Teenage
Laird?
Mutant Combat Turtles.
Yeah.
Mm.
In other countries, they're known as Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Right,
Because
yes.
they can't be ninjas.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Germany and England.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You're
Yeah.
still in a half
Heroes
shell.
in a half shell.
Yeah, they
Mm.
are certainly more like samurai, especially
Oh,
Leonardo.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the third movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that
That-
my only thing is just
That
like
turd.
why go backwards? So
In the
Oh,
third movie, they do infiltrate the castle
They do,
using ninja
yeah.
tools.
They do.
So, all right.
Might be the one time I've seen a lot of ninjas.
So the original comics came out in 1984. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that means the Turtles, if we assume they were 15 then, were born in 1969, which means the original Ninja Turtles are now 50 years old.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
geriatric Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Well, they're not geriatric yet, but they're getting there.
and so you're saying of marrying age is
Oh,
what you're
yeah.
getting at here? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the original ones.
The
yes.
original, yeah.
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 I mean, I guess by now you could marry the
the-
Megan Fox ones.
I was gonna say the 2D
Yeah.
turtles aren't teenagers anymore either.
right. Yeah.
They're all of legal age.
All right.
Perfect. If
So-
there's
I
one
was
thing
gonna
to
say,
take away from this
April
episode,
O'Neil's of the multiverse rejoice.
I was gonna say because I don't like the idea that they're underage because they have that shot that you were talking about where they get stuck and it's all up shells. That's great. All right, we'd love that.
Oh my
Is that his response when he loves something? Ugh.
Oh my god. Okay.
Never seen that for like an hour.
I just have some
good luck coming back from that one,
thanks,
though.
yeah. I just have some quick like rapid fires. We've already alluded to this of the things that we watched for this.
Yes.
And I guess like nostalgia, I'll include her. April O'Neil's. If like that ones that stand out. Judith Hogue, cartoon, Paige Turco, or Megan Fox.
I remember being super disappointed when I saw the first movie and April O'Neil didn't look like the
Judith
cartoon
Hogue?
one. But I had a problem when I was a kid where I really felt like like when I got an action figure that wasn't in scale, my other action figures, I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I was like mad. And so when I saw that this April O'Neil just didn't look anything like that one, I was really put off by it. So only cartoon for me.
Only cartoon.
I never really related to the other one.
I'm with Chuck 100%.
The cartoon, okay.
Same thing where I'm like, she doesn't have red hair. She's
Long
not
legs,
wearing, like,
white boots.
Judith Hogue had red hair.
She had red hair.
it was brownish hair.
It's like,
It was
okay.
red. It was red, but it was
I
curly.
was.
It wasn't cartoonish red.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
curly. Yeah.
I was very much cartoon, but I will say, even though we didn't do them, the second and the third had
Paige
the different
Turco.
April,
yeah.
Okay.
and she was truer to the cartoon.
Okay.
I felt
All right. Cool.
she had the energy of April in the cartoon.
I haven't
Interesting.
watched the second one in so long. We'll have to watch both of those tonight.
And
Yeah.
Judith Hogue
What's
all
that?
day for me.
Really?
First movie, yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
There's some there's like a constant wonder of everything that's happening for her,
Yeah.
and it really like to me it captured the cartoon of like I want to be in this
Yeah.
and like the adrenaline junkie of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Cool.
I have a fun fact.
Sure.
It's kind of a recommendation too,
Okay.
although I haven't played it yet. So the original, there's 2 Ninja Turtle arcade games.
Yes.
Basically, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game.
Yep.
And then Turtles in Time.
Turtles, yes.
Well, 2 independent like developers took the original Turtles in Time and they made a whole new game out of the sprites, and it's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Rescue Palooza. You can download it for Windows, and it's like
What if you don't
super
have
high-
Windows?
Well, I
Are
don't
you
know.
out of luck?
I think you probably play on Mac.
Okay.
And so it's super high quality, 4-player, and every time you beat a boss, he becomes a playable character.
Wow.
And they've added like
Oh, it's like emo
levels,
game.
levels and levels and levels and levels. So there's like 60 playable characters, including all those action figures. He turned them into sprites, and
That's
now they're part of
amazing.
the game.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
It's incredible. Like, and it's the actual, it starts with the initial sprite, so you can be the playable splinter of the one that was in the game and was never playable. And someday I want to play through it because it's
All 60 levels
all
tonight.
60
I
levels.
wonder if I can put that on like a Raspberry Pi or something.
It's hard because I was like, oh, can I put that on Android?
Yeah.
Because that's what you'd want to do. But I think it's only right now for Windows and Mac.
Okay.
So we'll have to see. But man, it's awesome. I watched like a playthrough of it, I skipped around. It looks incredible, and it has like Mondo Gecko. It has all those characters, and it
That's
has
cool.
Leatherhead. It's crazy as a playable character.
Right.
It's crazy.
I mean, I just have one more actual big question. Does anybody
yeah.
else?
Nope.
No,
I'm out.
Okay.
No.
And I know the answer is because the movie's terrible. But why in 2014? Why start the movie with 2.5 minutes of exposition story? And it's actually really good. I like
know,
that
the
they did it as a
animation is cool.
comic,
Me
like
too.
animation.
It was cool.
Why do that? And then in the middle of the movie,
Tell the same story.
retell it in a completely different way. They're
Yeah.
different origin stories. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I did like the opening a lot.
I liked the
Yeah,
opening.
when they bashed the VHS tape. And,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I don't know that I really noticed it, even though we watched it,
Yeah. Oh, it
16
definitely
hours
happened.
ago. So,
It's like the one they do in the middle is way more expanded.
right.
Yeah.
And I think it's just to illustrate the relationship between them and Splinter, really. But why do the beginning then? Is the
Right.
question.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Good question.
Thank you. I think that brings us to
Shades and sketch recommendations,
And of course,
and Chuck and Brad.
Yeah,
Brad's.
okay. I already did my 2.
You,
All right,
yeah,
Brad, you
you've
got- you
recommended
gotta
a lot of
recommend-
things this episode. You're
You
cut
got-
off.
Yeah.
Recommendation?
All right. So when I got the notes for this, I didn't realize it had to be a Turtles related.
It does not need
recommendation.
to be.
No, you can
Okay.
recommend anything you like.
All right. I'm currently reading the book "Growing Things" by Paul Tremblay. It's
Okay,
a book of
yeah.
short stories, horror short stories, and there's one in there that kind of acknowledges his fame as like the ambiguous horror guy. But the first book of his that I read was called A Head Full of Ghosts, and it is one of my favorite horror
Nice.
novels of all time. He's got another one called Disappearance at Devil's Rock that's really good. He's got a home invasion one called The Cabin at the End of the World. And I don't know, that's like what I'm currently reading, so it's right at the top of my brain. But yeah, A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sketch, you get a rec?
I am going to recommend something really easy.
Sure.
The epic rap battle of history, Ninja Turtles versus Artists.
Fantastic.
It's wonderful.
Is it good?
It's good.
It is.
That's
It's
good.
particularly good.
I particularly like the artists.
You've been singing it all day.
I have been because I downloaded it before I came here, and on my ride over, I listened to it probably 60 times.
Yeah.
But they handle the artists really, really well.
Cool.
And the turtles are the 90s turtles.
Nice.
Oh,
That's cool.
fantastic.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend Turtles Forever,
Yeah.
which is the 2009. It aired as like 3 or 4 episodes of the finale of the series, but it's the 2003 Ninja Turtles series, the culmination. It came out in 2009, and it brings in the Eastman Laird, black and white turtles, the 2D turtles, and the turtles of that iteration, and they go on an adventure together.
Yeah.
They've since done an update. I guess they also did it in the 2012 Nickelodeon series.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I just saw a little clip of it. I don't know the quality of it.
Okay. But the Turtles Forever was fantastic, and I just love that 2009 Raphael and like 1984 Raphael can't stand 1987 Raphael.
Yeah.
And every time the 2D Turtles they break the fourth wall and look at the screen, like the other turtles are like, who the fuck are you talking to?
Yeah,
Stop it! Stop it! There's nobody there.
Yeah.
And it's just great. It's so smart. And they actually did it with they got the actors to agree to do it, and some of them recorded their lines, but I guess it wasn't a SAG production.
Oh, all right.
So they couldn't do it, and so somewhere there's a version that exists with like
the lines
with what's his name? I can't Pinky in the Brain. I can't think of his name now. Talking Tunes with
Ron
Paulson.
Yep.
Thank you. Somewhere, because
I was gonna say Robert Paulson, but I'm like, that's
because
Yeah.
and he actually also voiced Donatello in the 2012 version, but he was not a part of the 2009, and that wasn't a union. It wasn't a union show. They weren't union actors, so he's not in it. But somewhere there's a version of him doing the lines for 2D Raphael.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I would love to see that if it exists.
That's really cool.
Chuck, Brad, guys, thank you so much.
Hey,
I feel like you guys went over and above for our big 50th episode, but it was great to have you here.
Wonderful.
It's a great milestone.
Yeah, it is.
We had a great time.
Thanks so much.
It was a fun discussion. A lot of side discussions.
Oh my goodness! There's like a whole episode of side discussions in here that we could cut up as Patreon exclusives.
I know.
If you are a fan of the show, you can find us on Facebook by looking for Geeking Out.
Mm-hmm.
We're also on Twitter at Go with Shades and Sketch. If you want to talk to Sketch directly, you can tweet him at Go for Sketch.
And you can tweet Shades at Go for Shades.
Though I don't know why you ever would want to. I'm just going to tell you why you're wrong.
Yep. If you're going for punishment, I guess, really.
Yeah.
You can also email the show at gowithshadesandsketch@gmail.com.
Nice.
And you can find our Patreon at patreon.com/shadeandsketch.
Hey guys, thanks for listening, because we wouldn't get to 50 without you. Well, I mean, we still talk.
Yes.
But we wouldn't record
we'd be the only one.
Yeah.
Record it.
Right.
So thanks for listening. 50 episodes. Amazing.
And still going. Sketch, you going to take anything from this episode?
My favorite, I got to take a weapon from the Turtles.
I think I know what you're going to take.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right, take a guess.
You're going to take a Psy.
I'm taking the size.
Yeah.
Love the size.
Of course.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Guys, you want to take anything from this episode? Other than the sense of childhood
We usually
merriment
take a memento to keep it on the GoCo mantle.
Take an entire Playmates set, complete.
Oh, that's
all the
that's
digital
fair.
action
Yeah,
figures.
that's
I'll take
fair.
it with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rent a U-Haul though.
Yeah,
that's all right. I'll take
it's
it.
understandable.
Yeah.
Sure. We'll back it up to the GoCo.
I'm going to take 2 slices of the 99 cheese pizza.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Oh, that's
a
good. I wish I had.
I mean,
remembered
I think
that
no
one.
surprise. Do you know what I'm taking?
What are you? You're taking the dump truck.
You're taking the
Not the dump
garbage.
truck.
The garbage.
You're
truck.
gonna take the phrase up shell.
I'm taking the turtle van.
The turtle
I'm
van.
taking the turtle van.
Which turtle van?
I'm actually
Well,
gonna,
there isn't.
I'm actually going to take the turtle van from the 2014 movie. I thought it was freaking cool.
Can I ask a question though?
Sure.
Why did it have solar panels?
I don't, because Donatello's a genius.
But they only come out at night or in the sewer.
Well, no, you can drive around during the day.
That's a really good point.
But the turtles
That's
can't
the
drive
big
that thing
question.
around.
Maybe
Sure they can.
drive it-
I'm sure it has tinted windows.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
they park it somewhere, like in a big
To
like,
charge
one
it.
of those huge.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
During
the
the day.
van
Top of a
stays on.
garage.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the 2007 mentality that the van is parked like behind a fake brick wall in an alley,
Sure. There you go.
and it's charging all day.
All
I
right.
like that.
I'm taking the turtle van.
Great.
Take it.
Turtle van.
All right, and we will see you next time.